This is Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted #1 talk radio show in Arizona.
#1 during your morning commute.
#1 whenever news breaks during your day.
And #1 whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, how the heck are you? It is Friday. Thank God.
Yeah.
Jake, how are you?
I'm just doing great, man.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's amazing. 2 weeks from now, we won't be doing a show because we'll be flying to Hawaii. Yes, looking forward to that. We will be doing shows. A lot of people have asked us if we're going to do shows in Hawaii. Yes, we will. Absolutely, we will do shows in Hawaii because by then, Donovan Mitchell is going to be a New York Knick. I have a drop-dead date for you. We'll talk about that coming up on the show. Is RJ Barrett enough for the New York Knicks to send to the Utah Jazz to make a trade? Did you see what happened with the NFL and DeShaun Watson? Do you need crust on pizza and Snoop Dogg's got cereal? All right, see you Monday.
Sounds good to me.
Hi. It has been kind of a crazy morning already. Jake is not really present. He wants violence and stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what I'm looking for. That's it.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's the whole nine. Hey, want to remind you that we are sending 2 listeners to see BYU and Notre Dame in the Shamrock Series in Las Vegas. Pretty simple thing to win, right? We are giving you 2 nights at the Palms Casino Resort and Hotel. We are giving you 2 tickets to the game. Pretty difficult to get those tickets right now, but we've got 2 tickets to see BYU and Notre Dame in Las Vegas on October 8th. And we're giving you a $250 gas card to get you there. And the only way that you can enter that contest is stop by any barbecue pit stop in Utah. Logan, Lehigh, St. George, Layton, and, of course, Salt Lake City in Murray. Walk into any of those stores. After you've checked out their amazing selections of rubs, seasonings, sauces, spices, smokers, aprons, cutting boards and stuff. Anything you need for a smoker, their selection of pellets are amazing. Like if you go to Logan and all my good friends at Utah State, hello. If you go to the Logan Barbecue Pit Stop, they have a full-time butcher on staff at Barbecue Pit Stop in Logan. It is an amazing store. There's also a box on the counter at every barbecue pit stop. Just fill out the slip, drop it in the box. Then be there or be square on September 17th at the Barbecue Pit Stop in Lehigh. We're all going to hang out. We're going to watch BYU and Oregon at Autzen Stadium in Eugene. We're going to smoke a bunch of wings. We are going to smoke a bunch of pizza because pizza on a smoker is amazing. And then at halftime of that game, we're going to pull the winner out of a hopper, and we're going to announce the winner of a trip for 2 to see BYU and Notre Dame in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. Get to Barbecue Pit Stop, bbqpitstop.com. It's all brought to you by our good friend Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage. 801-543-9666 for Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage.
Devry Davis with the Davis Lending Team, powered by Academy Mortgage. All right, first-time homebuyers, listen up. This one's for you. There's a huge misconception on how much it takes to buy a house. Is it 20%? Is it 10%? Is it 15%? The answer will surprise you. There's 4 mortgages in the United States. 2 of them require no down payment. 2 require very minimal down payment. Out of that down payment, there's lots of places to get it from. There's state funds, county funds, city funds, lots of ways to buy a house, no money down. When I was 18, I got out of high school. I actually bought a brand new house, no money down. Never regretted it. If you have questions, give me a shout. Glad to walk you through it. Have a great one.
Do you know how difficult it is to point at a screen backward? I don't know how many people realize how difficult that is. 801, called Devry Davis, 801-543-9666, NMLS number 278545. Devry Davis and Academy Mortgage are equal housing lenders. Without further ado, let's get to work talking Utah Jazz basketball. Is RJ Barrett enough? Because interestingly, been hearing a lot now that the Utah Jazz and the New York Knicks have taken another step forward in their negotiations on trying to execute a Donovan Mitchell deal. Some would tell you that the Utah Jazz are now open to taking RJ Barrett back in that deal, and the Knicks are willing to trade RJ Barrett in order to get Donovan Mitchell. We've heard a lot of speculation on that. Sources at the Jazz have told me that they do not want to pay RJ Barrett a rookie extension, which he is due for, coming up after this season. Now, RJ Barrett's 22 years old, phenomenal young player, but is that the centerpiece of a deal to get Donovan Mitchell out of the hands of the Utah Jazz? It's a very interesting question and one that's been heavily debated. I would tell you if RJ Barrett's the centerpiece, that's not a deal that I'm willing to do. When I look at RJ Barrett, I think Donovan Mitchell is a far superior player now, and I don't see RJ Barrett developing into the player that Donovan Mitchell already is. So, Jake, no, I don't believe that RJ Barrett's enough to get Donovan Mitchell from the Jazz.
No, absolutely not. And I think that RJ Barrett is, just like you said, is a great young player, but there's not enough top end. I mean, it's great that he's young. It's great that, he's doing some nice things in the league, but this is the age-old conversation. You know when guys have it, and you know when guys don't have it. And RJ Barrett is never going to be a killer. He's never going to be that guy that you want taking the game-winning shot. Like, that's not who RJ Barrett is. He is a good role player in your starting five that does a certain thing for you. And I think that, if you ask any Knicks fan, they're going to tell you RJ Barrett's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm here to tell you that RJ Barrett is a left-handed player that has a nice game, but he's never going to be James Harden in Houston. He's never going to be like tip-top of the league, that caliber of guy. And Donovan Mitchell's on the precipice of being that. And so that's why I say it's borderline disrespectful for the Knicks to be like, yeah, RJ Barrett's going to be the centerpiece of this trade. That to me is a non-starter. It's not a conversation. If you want to include RJ in the trade to bolster the value, I can see that. I can completely understand that. But making him the centerpiece of the deal is kind of ridiculous to me. I just don't see how that pans out value for value, because you're getting a guy in Donovan Mitchell who, like I was just saying, is on the precipice, in my opinion, of being a top 10 player, of being, that top cut, top echelon player. Now, he's got to come out and prove that. But to me, he's better because we can at least have that conversation. With RJ Barrett, I can confidently say he's never going to be in the conversation of best player in the league or top 5 or top 10. That's never going to happen for RJ Barrett, in my opinion. So, to me, I just don't think it's a starting point or even a conversation. And
there's a couple of schools of thoughts here on the situation with the Jazz. I would tell you September 1st is an incredibly important day for the Utah Jazz. If Donovan Mitchell is on this roster September 1st, my guess is he's going to training camp with the Jazz. There are quite a few variables that are going to lead us to that point here in the next 11, 12 days. But if Donovan Mitchell's on this roster on September 1st, my inclination is that he will be with the Jazz in training camp. But I think there's a real good chance that in the next, 12 days, this deal gets done. I think that's the only window in time that the Jazz and the Knicks have to get this deal done. And I think in that window in time, somebody's going to blink. And I am guessing that Danny Ainge is not going to be the guy that blinks. It's going to simply be a matter of, is Leon Rose willing to give up more talent or more picks to offset one or the other to make this deal happen? But the one guy that I can tell you that the Utah Jazz are not going to take back in return is Julius Randle. I have been told repeatedly by my sources at the Utah Jazz that they have no interest in Julius Randle, that what they've seen from the Lakers to the Knicks, while it was good for a 6 to 8 month period, that Julius Randle as a Knick has not excited most of the league, including Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz. So I would not expect, based on what Julius Randle is paid, based on what some of the things you've seen from Julius on the floor, I just don't think that Danny Ainge and the Jazz have any interest in Julius Randle at all. So I do not believe that they are going to make that trade with Julius Randle involved in it. Would they make an RJ Barrett trade? I do think they would. I think it's going to mean that if they're taking RJ Barrett, that you are going to have to get, I would guess, a minimum of 4 first-round picks. And I do think Quentin Grimes has to be involved in that deal. I don't see a way that Danny Ainge takes RJ Barrett, knowing he's going to have to extend him on his rookie deal, knowing that you're going to have to extend him and probably pay him the same money that you're paying Donovan Mitchell, and you're going to have to take a veteran back in return and a guy like, let's say, Cam Reddish, that you wouldn't get Quentin Grimes and three other players in that. Like, you need a dearth of young talent. You need a lot of draft picks. And I consider, frankly, in my opinion, the right number's 4. If I'm taking RJ Barrett back, the right number's 4. Because I just don't want to extend RJ Barrett. I don't want to pay RJ Barrett a max, and I think that's really going to be the tipping point on this deal.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I'm getting to is, like, paying RJ the max and extending him off his rookie deal just is not a viable option if you're the Utah Jazz. I just don't see why. Like, why would you do that? Why would you, like? I almost feel like this whole conversation is, how much do you want to help the Knicks? You're doing the Knicks a favor by taking RJ Barrett back. You're doing the Knicks a favor by even humoring, any team in the league. By even humoring the Julius side of it, you'd be doing the Knicks a favor. Why would you do that? That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so when I think about this trade, I think that RJ Barrett, while he is a nice young player and definitely can be included in the trade, is not the centerpiece or like the headline or the topper on this deal. That's not how this needs to work. What it needs to be is, I think it needs to be what Danny's been asking for all along. 6 first-round picks, several of those unprotected, and then you build the deal off of that. So if Leon Rose and the Knicks are only willing to give 4, that means, I agree, that Grimes has to be in the conversation. He has to be in the deal for it to make sense for the Utah Jazz, because that is what we keep coming back to. The Utah Jazz don't have to do this. They don't. There's no need, there's no pressure, there's no leverage here as far as Don to the Jazz is concerned. Like, he's not asked for a trade. They don't have to do anything. And that's the thing I keep coming back to is, great. Every Knicks fan wants to tell you that Leon and the Knicks have all the leverage and it's just Utah and little old Utah, right? That's what you're going to hear out of New York. But what I'm here to tell you is little old Utah has no need to trade Donovan Mitchell. They don't. It's just not a necessity. You could easily have him here the next 3 seasons and not think twice about it. And you'd probably go to the playoffs. You'd probably be a relevant team. And I think Danny Ainge and the fan base would do just fine with that. I honestly do. But if you're going to make this deal, Danny Ainge only gets one shot at it. So that's why I think he's not compromising. You're not coming off of your asking price, and you shouldn't.
Well, I also think you're looking at a pretty significant qualifying offer in the range of $15 million for RJ Barrett. Again, you're looking at a guy in Cam Reddish who I think what he is as a player already. I mean, what has he been in the league? 5 years? 4 years? This will be his 5th year, I guess. I think what Cam Reddish is. That's a guy that I think, you're paying him $4 or $5 million a year. Like, you're going to have to be creative with what you take back from the Knicks here. That's one of the bigger situations here, as well as what veteran contracts are you taking back to make a deal with the Knicks work. I mean, a lot of people point at Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier. I don't know that those numbers work. And frankly, for Danny Ainge, I don't know what you do with Evan Fournier. I have no idea what you do with him. I mean, if you're the Knicks, my guess is that you would like Donovan Mitchell, Patrick Beverley, a young player, and then you're probably going to do a pick swap. And in return for that, you're going to have to make that money work. And that's going to be, I think, one of the sticking points on this deal. Not only are the draft picks a sticking point, but what veterans are you willing to take back? And I think that's why you hear Julius Randle's name so often, because of the money that Julius Randle commands and the caliber of player that the Knicks are asking for in return. You're going to have to figure out how to balance those books. But in general, I think Danny Ainge, I think he would do this deal at 4 first-round picks. I think he would do this deal with 4 and Quentin Grimes involved. I just don't know what his appetite is because at that point, you're in a full rebuild. If you're trading Donovan Mitchell, you're in a full rebuild. they know, I think that the Utah Jazz are acutely aware that for them, you're not doing a typical rebuild. You've got to, in Utah, you've got to go and trade for superstar players. So I think you want as many assets in return that are draft picks and young players. That's why Quentin Grimes holds so much value in this conversation. Like Emmanuel Quickley to me is not nearly as valuable as a Quentin Grimes is. I think you can develop Grimes in your way, and the money that this Utah Jazz organization is currently spending to bolster their development efforts is significant. So I don't have any question that they would take back Quentin Grimes right now today in a deal. I think this deal would have already been agreed to if they could have gotten Quentin Grimes in it. I think Grimes and the young talent on the Knicks roster is far more of an issue than draft picks. Far more. Mm-hmm. I think Danny Ainge should take 4 first-round picks, and I think Leon would give 4 first-round picks to give Donovan Mitchell. I just don't think he's willing to do that with Quentin Grimes in that deal. And frankly, I think that's more the sticking point. I think the players, the human beings involved in this trade are far more the sticking point.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I mean, if you're Danny Ainge, again, you're only going to get one shot, you know? So, like, that's why I think this is just taking so long. And I really hope, I really hope for Donovan Mitchell that people don't think that he has anything to do with how long this is taking or, like, because he just doesn't. Like, the Kevin Durant and Donovan Mitchell situations are totally different, and that's the thing that I hope that fans and people who watch the game get out of this. Donovan Mitchell has handled this perfectly, in my opinion. You haven't said anything. Everyone else is doing the talking for you, and you're just kind of cruising along, putting in your work in the summer. So hopefully, whoever he plays for comes back and has a big year, because that I think will sort of put this to bed. No matter if he's in a Knick or a Jazz uniform, whoever he plays for, you come out and you do, if you average 30 points a game and you're a better defender and you do all these great things, then no one's going to worry about, no one's going to have any hesitation about, hey, did the Jazz get proper value back or not? Everyone's going to be in a good spot.
Yeah, I think that it is very interesting. One of the questions I think is NBA fans that you have to ask is, why are the New York Knicks so fixated on Donovan Mitchell? This is something I've asked a lot of NBA people I know, and nobody seems to have the answer. Because the Knicks, with the assets that they have, and with the assets that the Knicks are willing to give up to get Donovan Mitchell, there's a lot of players available. I mean, it's simply a matter of, why are the Knicks so fixated on this? I don't buy that it's because, hey, he's a Westchester kid, CAA, Leon Rose, like his dad works for the Mets. Like, okay, I understand all of the New York ties to Donovan Mitchell. But does that tell you that it's worth overpaying for a guy who I think is on the cusp of being a superstar? But Donovan Mitchell's not a superstar right now. Donovan Mitchell's not that top 5 player we've all talked about. My suspicion is he will be. What we saw from him the last 2 nights in the Miami Pro League has been nothing short of sensational. And when I say that, it's not him dunking. Everybody can dunk, bro. The mid-range game that he is showing in his summer workouts, his summer games, his summer pickups is not what we've seen Donovan Mitchell in the past. A step-back fadeaway in the corner is not who Donovan Mitchell has ever been. And seeing stuff like that now, again, I will just reiterate, he's going to be a 30-point-a-night guy. Is that a superstar? Yes, it is. Is that a guy in New York that can be the centerpiece of a championship team? I think it is. I think that's what the Knicks are fixated on. I think the Knicks believe that Donovan Mitchell can take this team and propel them forward, because with Donovan Mitchell, this is a playoff team. I don't have any doubt about that. Donovan Mitchell has shown that he can take the mediocre talent he's had around him in Utah and he can make them better. He can carry the team when they need it. The question is the talent in New York better than the talent he had in Utah? And I think there's no doubt it is. Mm-hmm. Jalen Brunson is the better guard to Mike Conley right now today. I don't think there's any doubt that Julius Randle's the best power forward either team has. I think when you look at Mitchell Robinson's the best center that either team has. Is he better than Rudy Gobert? He's not. But I think in today's NBA, he's more pliable and flexible than Rudy Gobert is. I look at some of the issues on the Knicks. The Knicks still are not done if they get Donovan Mitchell. They need more. And especially if RJ's in that deal, they need more. But there is no question in my mind that if the Knicks trade for Donovan Mitchell, they are a playoff team. If the Knicks trade for Donovan Mitchell, my guess is they're top 6 in the East. And the East, I think, is going to be good, not great. I think when you look at the top of the Eastern Conference, with all due respect to your Minnesota Timberwolves, if you look at the Eastern Conference, you're never living that down.
Yeah, next question.
If you look at the Eastern Conference, I think, obviously, the Milwaukees, the Phillies, they're at the top of the East.
Mm-hmm.
Is Atlanta now at the top of the East?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Atlanta's a team that has been rumored to be making moves too. I mean, obviously the DeJounte Murray move catapults them higher up the stack, no doubt about it. I think he helps them a lot. I think Trae Young has needed a second guy, and I don't think that's a knock on Trae Young. Like I think Trae just hasn't had enough to work with. With all due respect to Hunter and some of these other guys, But yeah, I mean, I think Atlanta's a playoff team, no doubt. I think Atlanta is a team that can give you some trouble. But look, I think that this conversation around like what Don has had to work with and what he would have to work with, you're right. Like I think Jalen Brunson is a nice running mate for Donovan Mitchell. Yes. Keeps him off the ball, and I think that's ultimately what Donovan Mitchell needs. He is not a one. Like you don't want Donovan Mitchell to be playing traditional point guard for you. That's not his highest best use. I understand that he may be slightly undersized to play the 2 guard or like a 2-3 hybrid maybe, but that doesn't mean he can't get the job done and be really effective. Like that ultimately is like if I'm Donovan Mitchell, that's what I'm excited about. Whether I'm in New York Knick land or I'm staying with the Utah Jazz, I'm getting a new offense either way. I'm getting into a situation where I can breathe offensively, where I can actually play my game and do my thing. And
sorry to interrupt. I thought you were done. Sorry to interrupt you. What is Miles McBride? I think this is a huge question.
Yeah.
I think he's unproven. He's a young guy. But
of course, yeah.
Because his name certainly is going to be on that piece of paper. I mean, I think Miles McBride has to be in that deal. So if you end up with 3 guys that are, and I still can't believe Leon Rose is going to trade. I can't even say it. Is he really going to trade Quentin Grimes to get Donovan McMitchell? Hello?
Never.
Is he really going to trade Quentin Grimes to get Donovan Mitchell? Like that's even hard for me to say that out loud.
This is why it's baffling that they're so obsessed with Donovan Mitchell. That's why, to me, it's surprising. I think that's one of the best points you made. Like, you have all these assets, and you're just seemingly fixated on them. I mean, if it was me...
Well, that was said to me by an NBA guy the other day.
Yeah, I mean, again, as the saying goes on our show, the famous saying, inside joke, with all due respect to Donovan Mitchell... there are some better players available right now that are not typically available. So if you're the Knicks, it just is surprising to me that you're not able to get traction in other situations. And I will say this, I think that the reason that the Knicks and the Jazz are, perfect dance partners here is because of where the Utah Jazz are at. That's why I think the Brooklyn thing isn't getting traction for the Knicks, because Brooklyn is not interested in a ton of picks and sort of going down that rebuilding path. The Nets are interested in win now talent, in trades. They want guys and contributors back for Kevin Durant who can help them win now. So that's why you're hearing the Jaylen Browns of the world being in the Kevin Durant trade, and that's why I say if you're the Knicks, I personally think my opinion is that's why they're obsessed on Donovan Mitchell, because the Jazz value 4, 5, 6 first-round picks. They value, Quentin Grimes. They value McBride and RJ Barrett, like these guys. That's why I think the Knicks have been hammering Danny Ainge's phone. And the thing is, I don't know, and I've been saying this for a minute too, like I don't know how long you can let this run into camp. Like, you said earlier in today's show that you thought we were in like a kind of a window here. Like you had probably 10, 15 more days or so, I think you said, to get this deal done.
That's it. 12 days. I think because of the Patrick Beverley contract situation, I think once he becomes available for trade, and I'm pretty sure that date is August 30th. Once he becomes available in trade, I think that's when this deal has a very high potential to get done. If there is a deal to be done, it will be when Patrick Beverley is available.
Right.
I think that's been the holdup.
And that's why I think, like, so my point just is like, that's why I think the Knicks have been obsessed on Donovan Mitchell, because of where the Jazz are and just the situation. But to me, if I was the Knicks, I would be doing everything that I can do to get Kevin Durant or to get like the best player available. That's what I'd be trying to do if I was the Knicks.
Here's the problem, though. The Sacramento Kings are said to be willing to give up Keegan Murray to get Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, I think that kind of deal is going to be very difficult to do. And frankly, I just think that there's a very low appetite on the Knicks to reshape the organization right now. And this is the thing about Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell doesn't force you to reshape your organization. He takes you to the next step. Mm-hmm. And I think a guy like going and getting a superstar of Kevin Durant's ilk or somebody like that.
Yeah.
The issue becomes now you're back to huge risk. Whereas right now, if you trade for Donovan Mitchell, is that really a huge risk?
No.
Is there, if you give up, and again, I maintain that Danny Ainge, my sources at the Jazz have told me straight away, Danny has never asked for less than 6 first-round picks. We've been reporting that since early July. 6 first-round picks. He's never asked for 8 picks. Never, not one time. This smoke screen, like all of a sudden Washington's come out of the woodwork. Washington is only of value to the Jazz in a Donovan Mitchell trade as a third team. I don't see that the Jazz would trade him to Washington instead of New York. That makes zero sense.
Yeah.
The number is 4 first-round picks. Leon Rose has never offered 4 first-round picks. And this is the other thing I want to convey. Like, it's not like Leon Rose has said, well, let's do this, man. 3 first-round picks. That's all I'm with. They haven't had those conversations. From what it's been described to me, Danny Ainge just told Leon Rose, hey, I'm in this for 6 first-round picks. If we can do this deal at 6 first-round picks and Quentin Grimes and let's, that's where these conversations have happened.
Yeah.
Everybody has been fixated on the Knicks called the Jazz or the Jazz called the Knicks or they haven't talked for a month. All I can tell you is that I have repeatedly been told they have been in regular communication. There has been no gap of weeks at a time where the Jazz and Knicks have not talked. They've been in regular communication. I do believe that at one point they had a framework of a deal. They went to the NBA. They got clarification. Hey, is this kind of deal plausible? Is this, can we trade these picks?
And this was when we got all the, hey, I'm getting texts and the deal's about to be done. This just for timeline references. That's what we think, happened, that there was confusion around why they were going to the league, because every trade has to be run through the league. Like, okay, so they put the trade together, then it's got to get sent to the league for approval.
Well, and the Knicks also have, remember, a ton of they have a melting pot of picks.
Yeah.
So the question was, hey, because for those of you who don't know, not to simplify this, I'm not saying you're dumb or whatever, but just to simplify it, you can't trade all of your draft picks. You have to have a certain number of your future draft assets. Mm-hmm. And so from what I understand, there was a conversation with the league about, hey, are these particular picks available to be included for clarification purposes, which I agree with you. That's what triggered. This is why some people just don't have sources. That's what triggered oh my God, it's going to happen. They were talking to the Knicks and the Jazz in some iteration. We're talking to the league about the framework of a deal. So I do believe at one point, about 2-3 weeks ago now, the Jazz and the Knicks had a framework of a deal, and Quentin Grimes became the tripping point. Mm-hmm. That's why that deal was not done then. And I think they have tried to massage different trade packages, which is now why, and without divulging too much, I've just gotten the feeling based on conversations I've had that I think Patrick Beverley's involved in this deal in one way or another.
Yeah.
And talking to some people around Pat Bev the other day, like, we've been efforting Patrick Beverley on the show. And talking to people around him, there's a hesitancy with Patrick Beverley injecting himself into the Utah market in any way, shape, or form. Now, we've known, and I've said this on the show, the Jazz have 2 deals in place for Patrick Beverley that they can make.
At any time.
But they haven't done that. They haven't sent that paper to the league for approval. Now, is that because he's not available to be traded right now, like legally, like he can't execute that trade? I don't buy that. All the time, players that can't be traded until a certain date get traded. And then it's announced on that date. I think it's because the Knicks and the Jazz are talking about a deal that includes Patrick Beverley, which makes a lot of sense. I want Patrick Beverley on my team. By the way, call me crazy. What have we seen from Patrick Beverley? We've seen him mentoring. We've seen him coaching. We've seen him at, in some of these runs that he's been involved in, these pickup games. We've seen him talking to the group after the run's over. Mentality stuff. Hey, don't sell yourself short. There was a video of him talking about effort and energy, and this is why you're here.
I'm for real.
Patrick Beverley is not the same Patrick Beverley.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's highly motivated now to be a team player and contribute. And what did we hear in Minnesota? Man, we're going to miss Patrick Beverley.
Yeah.
So I think Patrick Beverley offers the Knicks a hell of a lot of value right now. I think they would take Patrick Beverley in a deal.
Yeah, and I also think that 3-team dynamic's really interesting as far as Bev's concerned.
Yes.
I mean, you think about we haven't really heard much. I mean, obviously we've heard, the Wizards and some of these like fringe teams, but we haven't heard like a definitive, hey, yeah, this particular team is being introduced as a third team to bring value to either side. So when you think about a player like Patrick Beverley, he would be a guy, like if he wasn't going to the Knicks, he would go to a third team to kind of balance things out and make the trade more tenable, make it work a little better. So that's why I say, like, guys like Patrick Beverley, when they're included in a conversation, in my opinion, just based on what the league usually does in trades, it doesn't guarantee a third team, but I don't think anyone would be surprised if there was a third team involved in this with the magnitude and the size of this deal. And so that's why I say, to your point, like, hey, maybe he can't be traded till X date, but that doesn't mean there's not conversations happening, and that doesn't mean that there's not a deal being put together where there's a third team and, he could be sent out and all that good stuff.
Totally agree. Hey, Brandon Price, appreciate the $5 tip. Thank you. He says, keep Mitchell, trade Bogey for John Collins, flip Beverley and Beasley for picks or a 3-and-D player. Thanks, guys. Love the show.
Boyan for John Conley would be crazy.
Well, I think John Collins is a guy in Atlanta that they would like to move. And again, I will just maintain, I think September is going to be one of the most bananas month this league has ever seen.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
I think that Boyan's going to get moved. I don't think there's any doubt. I think the question is, okay, do we make a Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic trade? Because I do believe there is credence in Lakers, Mavericks, Jazz making a 3-team deal.
Definitely.
That sends Bojan Bogdanovic. I think Mike Conley has a lot of value to those two teams.
The only thing I don't like about the Lakers-Mavericks situation for the Jazz is the fact that the Jazz would be just getting picks and buying out Westbrook. If you believe all the reports.
I don't think
I don't love that.
I don't think that's the deal.
Yeah.
I really don't think that's the deal. I think what you're looking at is, I think Dallas would essentially send Tim Hardaway Jr. to the Lakers, who I know the Lakers covet Tim Hardaway Jr. I think they would like to add Mike Conley to that mix. I think Dallas would love to have Bojan Bogdanovic. They need a knockdown shooter.
They do, yeah.
I think they do not trust Timmy to be healthy. Tim Hardaway Jr., who's had significant injuries, including last year. And a lot of people think if Tim Hardaway Jr. had been healthy, that's a different situation. But when has Tim Hardaway Jr. ever been healthy?
And that's my thing with the Lakers, bro. Like, you keep, not all jokes aside, like the behavior of adding guys who are hurt a lot continues. And I just don't know, when that changes. When, at some point that's got to change.
Yeah, but I don't think, and this, I guess this is what it really comes down to. I don't think, and I want to be careful how I say this, I don't think the Lakers look at it like that. I think the Lakers look at this situation and they say to themselves, we need shooting and we need a true point guard that we can trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they don't have either one of those. And I think that's why the Lakers would love to get Malik Beasley, who also I think is a guy that the Jazz are going to want to trade. I think Malik Beasley has tremendous value around this league to contenders.
Facts.
I think, and this is what's so interesting about these conversations, and when you talk to guys around the league about what the Jazz have to offer, there is this perception that the Utah Jazz, well, they're just that team in Salt Lake City, all them damn Mormons. We're talking Utah, better bring up religion and be a bigot about it. Like if you kept up on Twitter yesterday, it was ridiculous. I think teams around the league realize the Jazz have to make trades to improve their roster.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to sign free agents. They don't have that ability. So when you see that they are going to trade Donovan Mitchell, or if you believe they're going to trade Donovan Mitchell, why would you not call on Malik Beasley?
Yeah.
If you are, you know what? If you're the Chicago Bulls, are you telling me you don't want Malik Beasley? Are you telling me you don't want Jared Vanderbilt on that roster? If you are the LA Lakers, are you telling me that you don't want a Pat Beverly? Are you telling me you don't want a Malik Beasley? Yeah. If you're the Knicks, you don't want Patrick Beverly to mentor all those young guys you have? I think you do. So I think there's a hell of a lot of value in that. I think there is a lot of value on that. No question. All right, let's get some of your thoughts in here. I see a lot of you guys commenting this morning. Hey, by the way, thanks for being here. This has been an incredible week of growth on this channel. We have added a lot of new subscribers. We have had a lot of interaction. We have had more comments this week than we have ever had in the history of this show. We have had more comments on this show than we've ever had previously. Yes! We couldn't do that without you guys. You watch this show. You talk hoops with us. We talk football. We talk Big 12. We talk Pac-12. Thank you for being here. Now hit your ass on the like button.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Okay. I feel better. Give us a thumbs up if you're here right now. Appreciate that. Kanai Johnson, what's up, my guy? He says, top of the morning, fellas. Stephen A. Smith. Okay, I'll just move on to the next comment. I'm kidding. Stephen A. Smith said the Jazz want 6 first-round picks and RJ Barrett. Is this true? Do I pull the card? Do I say, well, we've been telling you it's 6 first-round picks for 6 weeks? Ever since the Rudy Gobert trade, and about a week later, the Donovan Mitchell rumors came up. We told you Danny Ainge asked for 6 first-round picks.
Yeah.
That's the bar.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that RJ Barrett's the guy the Knicks want to trade. I don't believe that RJ Barrett's the guy the Jazz want to acquire. But what I think is RJ Barrett might be the guy that gets the deal done. Yeah. I'm not convinced of that. I think Quentin Grimes is the guy that gets a deal done. But I again will say, if I'm Leon Rose, I'm not trading Quentin Grimes to get Donovan Mitchell. I want to see Quentin Grimes at the end.
Yeah.
I want to see Quentin Grimes at the end of his rookie deal. I want to see Quentin Grimes develop into something because I think, and again, I'm a talk show host. I'm not a talent evaluator or a general manager.
Right.
I think Quentin Grimes could be the goods.
I want it.
He could be that dude. And if Quentin Grimes is that dude, and he does that in a Jazz uniform and not a Knick uniform,
Donnie, please.
Isn't that going to be held over Leon Rose's head forever?
Yes.
Man, it'd be tough to make that deal.
It's really despicable.
Woo! It'd be tough to make that deal. I don't know. JP Shanahan said, if they're close to saying yes, does that mean that trade is imminent? I've never said they're close to saying yes. So I'm not the guy saying that. I'm telling you, I think this deal gets done potentially a week from now, week and a half or so, right about the 30th. That's when I think your best chance to get this deal done.
Look, I think close to saying, like the word, like, so when we say, hey, they're close to making a deal, like whether it's the Jazz or any other team, I think close to making a deal is like such a gray area. I mean, tomorrow you like tomorrow the Knicks could call the Jazz and be like, hey, yeah, we're willing to do X, Y, and Z, which would get the deal done. Okay, and now the deal's done. Were they close today before that call was made tomorrow? Who the hell knows?
Who knows?
Like, I think that the NBA is such a relationship-based business that things can turn very quickly. That's kind of the thing in the NBA that's really tough to judge and sort of measure, is that like, hey, it's literally a phone call away from anything being done. Like Kevin Durant, perfect example. Tomorrow, a team could call the Nets and literally check every one of Joe Tsai's boxes, and the trade is done. Like, that's how quick it can happen. But again, this league is so thirsty for getting as much value back as possible. That's why things take time. That's why the Utah Jazz deal and this Donovan Mitchell situation is taking time, because there is no incentive for the Jazz to trade Donovan Mitchell. It is purely hey, the Knicks have been beating down our door for over a year about Donovan Mitchell since before the Rudy Gobert trade happened. And now we traded Rudy, and we've sort of established this bar. Because that's the other thing that I feel like, is getting kind of left behind here that we can't forget. That Rudy Gobert deal is essentially allowing Danny Ainge to ask for 6 first-round picks. If he doesn't make that deal and get the haul he got for Rudy Gobert, asking for 6 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell would be outlandish. It would be disrespectful in a sense. So that's why I say don't discount the impact that Rudy Gobert deal had, because it's totally impacting the Donovan Mitchell situation. So, to answer the question, I guess, are they close? I mean, close, how do you define close? I mean, again, like whether it's Beverly or any other piece of this deal, it could get done tomorrow or it could get done in a week. It just depends on how close they're willing to, or how willing both sides are to come to the table. Like, that's just how the situation works. So I don't know how you define close. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know how you define close. And that's why I say I'm not the one who says it's close. CAA Mafia says the Knicks are not giving up RJ and more than 3 first-round picks.
Well, then they're not getting the deal.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Pudge NYC says, salute Monty and son. Hi.
Hello.
How we doing? MY Jazz fan says, JP Shanahan, that would mean that the Jazz are giving up assets they just got from the Timberwolves. I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. Ghost, good morning. I hear all kinds of rumors. Now they say Utah wants RJ and 6 picks. Well, I mean, listen, I think look, RJ Barrett is a nice player. He's a nice player, but he's not a guy you're like, gotta have it. You have a better player in Donovan Mitchell that RJ Barrett never by any measure projects to be better than Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. So
this idea that the Jazz are desperate to get I just don't see that. I don't. Kurt Myers says, Jake, did your alarm go off on time this morning? I'm in for the morning dew report.
Yes. And today, I believe, is National Men's Grooming Day. I could be wrong, but I think I saw that last night. So I just felt the need to actually use my alarm today and do my hair right. Now, again, after the show, we're getting the skin fade with the hard part. So, the dew report's going to change for Monday, but we're in good shape today.
Rec One says Jake is still trying to fix his hair.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm
good.
Did you say hard?
Yeah, sure. I said hard, yeah.
I think you did.
Right, I said hard, right.
Kenny says, morning, fellas. Caleb says, RJ Barrett can't shoot from anywhere on the floor. Maybe. James Knight says, good to see you, mofos. Could make it, LOL. Thank you.
Okay.
Mark Hales, good morning to you. James Knight says, stop feeding the chickens, Jake.
I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know what that means either, but I would love to own chickens. So glad to listen to Jake's dad and Jake's dad's son talk about sports, Kenny says. There's been this odd fixation. I think it's JP Shanahan.
Oh, man, dude.
It's been weird. I said one time the other day that Jake's my son, and you'd have thought the world stopped spinning, and people are like, whoa, wait. Monty's had sex?
Whoa, bro.
Dude.
Bro.
No, it's got to be adoption.
Whoa.
It's not. It's seed.
Donnie, please.
Fertilizing egg and stuff. James Knight says a little early to be doing drugs, Kenny. Exactly. Jake aside, I'm actually in a situation to call Devery Davis. Do it, Kenny.
Do it, bro. Do it.
Do it.
What's your, generally speaking, obviously we don't need specifics, but What are you doing? You buying a house? You refinancing? What's your deal? What are you trying to get done?
Yeah, let's talk about it, bro. All right, there's a ton of comments today, so with all due respect.
Yeah, this is why.
This is why. Slick Rich gives us a $4.99.
What's up, my boy?
Tip. What's up, Slick Rich? We are not fixated or obsessed with Donovan. Donovan is not going to put us immediately a contender. If we get him, fine. If we don't, let's move on. Well, I actually think he makes you a significantly better team.
Yeah.
He's that guy. Alexa is playing music
Dude, the
again.
A word on the fridge is a problem.
Alexa, stop! I hope I didn't turn your A machines on. Anyway, the point is, I actually think Donovan Mitchell takes you to a whole new level. I believe that. Listen, I've seen this guy every game his entire career. I mean, I saw his first preseason game as an NBA player. Trust me, Donovan Mitchell is that guy. Mm-hmm. He is special. Donovan Mitchell is unique. Donovan Mitchell is absolutely a killer. Absolutely. He's the guy you want. If I'm the Knicks, I mean, I'm not fixated on him, frankly. If I'm the Knicks, I'm willing to give up 4 first-round picks to get him. That's how highly I think of Donovan Mitchell, that I give up 4 first-round picks to get him. I would give up RJ Barrett. I would give up Emmanuel quickly to get him. And I would probably put Evan Fournier and Cam Reddish in that deal. So right there, I'm telling you, I'm willing to give up Cam. I'm willing to give up Evan Fournier, and I'm willing to give up Emmanuel quickly. I am not willing to give up Quentin Grimes.
And I think that's where they are. I mean, that's precisely what we've heard.
And again, I understand. It's not like Quentin Grimes blew off anybody's doors last year. He was wildly inconsistent. Frankly, I think he's coming off of a major knee injury that he missed time with last year. Okay, totally get that. I'm telling you, that guy, his top end is crazy. His top end is crazy. Tony says Jeff Teague and John Collins to the Jazz. Nah, I'm fine. Jacob Yates says Knicks have been irrelevant since 99. I feel bad for them. Knicks are never irrelevant. Have they been a force in the playoffs? No, they haven't. Should they have been better? Well, sure. Sure, absolutely. I should have lost weight a long time ago, but I didn't. That's why I'm fat. The point is 225. The point is, on the Knicks are right now right where you want the Knicks to be. Mm-hmm. They're on the verge. You add Donovan Mitchell, and you roll him with Brunson, and you put him out there with Mitchell Robinson. And I actually think if they don't trade Julius Randle, Brunson, Don, and Julius is not a bad triple threat.
No, you'll make some noise in the East with that, no doubt about it. I think for Knick fans, and this is kind of what I think, Slick Rich was saying, is like, does adding Donovan Mitchell to this core group that you have now make you a title contender? That's what I think Knick fans want.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
It does not.
Yeah.
CAA Mafia says, does Lakers re-signing LeBron bring them back to a 3-team trade as they would want to get better right now? Well, and this depends on who you believe. But the Lakers in the LeBron James camp have a plan in place. They're going to make the Kyrie trade. That's my opinion.
Because it's all part of the plan.
Which I think sets KD in motion to be moved.
Finally.
I think my guess is that's how that goes down. But I think the Lakers will be aggressive. They just have been so hesitant to give up those 2 future first-round picks. The problem is if you trade Kyrie to the Lakers, if you're the Lakers, he's a 1-year player. He's a 1-year player. But you've got to have a dance partner for Russell Westbrook. You can't have Westbrook and Kyrie on the roster. No, that's just not going to work.
Bro, that's too much selfishness on one team, bro.
$70-80 million.
Yeah.
Worth of trash. Like, you can't do that. You cannot do that. Slick Rich also says Knicks for clicks. What does that mean? Knicks for clicks. CAA Mafia, Lakers 27 and 29 picks look real nice. Those are probably rebuilding years for them. I think they're going to move those deals.
Lakers are never rebuilding, friend.
Pudge NYC says Hardaway going to Utah. I doubt that. M. Morris says Lakers spend to compete. Knicks don't. Truth. Absolute truth.
I think that's fair.
White Falcon 44. Trade Randall, Obi, Grimes, IQ 3 picks for Ben Simmons. Well, and I think there's real credence in that because Ben Simmons is on a prove-it deal. He has got to have a season. And if that's in Brooklyn, I think they're going to be better for it. I think Ben Simmons on the New York Knicks is a really good fit. A really good fit. Is he a good fit with Donovan Mitchell? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
And you can't have two of those deals on your you wouldn't be able to do that anyway.
Here's my problem though with Ben. I get it. Mental health is tough. You're dealing with things. I get it. But when it comes down to it, whether your leg is broken or your brain's not working, right? It's all about what can you do for a team on the floor. He was in a perfect position in Brooklyn. You did not need to score the basketball to literally thrive and resurrect your career there, and nothing happened. You left text message groups. You reportedly, left your teammates hanging. So that's why I say, if you're the Knicks, why would you take a risk on Ben Simmons?
He's a huge risk.
To me, you have a nice setup right now. You're in a good place. I understand why you want to try to get Donovan Mitchell to add to the premier talent you have right now. I get it. Ben Simmons, to me, if I'm the Knicks, I'm not doing that, but we'll see. I mean, the Knicks have made some questionable decisions.
But I think this is also part of this, and I know we have a lot of Knicks fans in here today. Maybe I'm wrong. I believe in Leon Rose. I actually think Leon Rose has done a really nice job. As much heat as he took, and my God, he courted all that heat at the draft.
Yeah.
Has he not put himself in a really nice position to build a really tough team?
Yeah, I don't think this is a Leon issue. I think it's an issue of, just straight up decision making. I mean, these are not easy decisions. And this is, again, not to be repetitive, but this is why I come back to that same question I asked earlier of why are the New York Knicks fixated on Donovan Mitchell? And I think the true answer to that is they're not necessarily fixated on Don. They like Utah's situation and how that benefits them and how they could really make a good deal for them happen. And so that's why I think you've seen them be so hooked on Don and the Jazz and this whole conversation. But I also think that's why you're not seeing them going after Kevin Durant super hard or like the Atlanta stuff or any of these other opportunities. The Utah Jazz situation plays particularly well for the Knicks. So, I agree that I think a deal is probably going to happen, but it can't be a thing where Danny acquiesces, if you will, which he's never done before, so I don't think he will. But for the Jazz, you can't have that.
Let's see. Down, up, down. Why? Burpees are traumatic. Lakers have offered 2 firsts, and the Nets said no. They want players, not picks. But any Kyrie Irving deal is going to be a 3-team deal. I mean, like the Lakers and Nets don't have the framework to make a 1v1 trade.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt that's a multi-team deal. I think, I don't know how much I believe all this. Sean Marks is demanding players that can make them a contender right now. Like, you're not in a position to really demand anything.
No,
I mean,
you're not.
I have a hard time believing that. We've gone from they want 27,000 first-round picks for Kevin Durant to now we want a replacement-level player for Kevin Durant. You're like, who are you, dude? Like, you have no leverage.
Yeah.
You have no frame of reference, Donnie.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about here?
Yeah.
Like, that's very clearly not a 1v1. Pudge says Kyrie to L.A. Let's see. White Falcon says Kyrie would be aight with Westbrook. LOL. Kyrie can score. Well, it's funny. We played basketball yesterday for the first time in like a year, like actual pickup 5-on-5 basketball.
Right.
And I dominated.
Right.
I did.
Right.
But there was a cat who hit the side of a backboard from 5 feet. This dude, who did I think of when I saw that?
Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. That's who I thought. That's what I said out loud, Westbrook. That's who this dude is.
Yeah.
That's who this dude is.
Because it's garbage.
It is. Asler, what's up, man? He says, hello, just to say that we don't need RJ in this deal. Grimes and salary matching Rose or Evan for Don is good for me. Ainge is the one who will decide how many unprotected picks he still wants. Yeah. I don't, and that's my thing with Leon Rose as well. I don't think I have a hard time believing he wants to trade RJ Barrett. I mean, you don't say, hey, we're going to, and I'm pretty certain that they're working on an extension if he stays there. Yeah, I mean, RJ Barrett is so young. I just don't ever see him projecting to be who Donovan Mitchell is. I really don't.
This isn't a conversation around what you want to trade. We're not talking about what you want to trade. If it was a what I want to trade, all right, yeah, here's a pick for Donovan Mitchell. That's what I want to trade. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you're willing to talk about trading.
Yes.
That's a big difference. I think that Danny is in the unique position of having the guy. That's the thing in trade conversation. Who has the player that the trade is centered around? Because nobody cares. Like, nationally, the headline isn't going to be, well, Quentin Grimes got traded today. That's not what the headline's going to be. The headline's going to be Donovan Mitchell is a New York Knick. Donovan Mitchell goes home to play for the Knicks. Like, it'll be something like that. So my point just is Danny Ainge has that luxury of having the guy that's the centerpiece and the headline player in the deal, and it's really just more of a conversation around willingness. Hey, what are you willing to humor? What are you willing to talk about? That's how these things get done, because what ends up happening is someone's going to get sold. It's the old saying, right? Someone gets sold on every sales call, and is it going to be you or him? And Danny is notorious for the guy doing the selling, not the buying.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's very interesting. I lost that comment, darn it. Somebody was asking about the Jordan 5 on the wall there, the white one with the purple. How did we get it so quickly? It's not like we have any special connects. I got to be honest with you. We won that on the Nike app. We won that in the day it came out. So it's not like we did anything special to get that. My mom does not work at Nike.
My mom.
So yeah, I love that. I'm a huge fan of the Air Jordan 5. In fact, there's two of them up there. There's the green up there as well. I'm a huge fan of that shoe. I have come a long way, but I will say my favorite shoe for sure, the Air Jordan 3. I think the 3 or the 9, and a lot of people ask me about shoes. This 3 right here,
I believe that's called the Desert Elephant.
It is. I love the colorway. I love the tongue on this shoe with the Jumpman. I like
That's one of the best
suede
colorways of the 3 I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I really I'm a huge fan.
Because obviously the blue cement and the red cement are iconic colorways, but that one in particular really is nice.
Yes, I'm a huge shoe collector. I have too many. I gotta stop.
We.
How many shoes you have?
60, 70 probably.
How many shoes I have?
Yeah, you have more shoes. That doesn't mean that I'm not someone who likes them or collects them.
You're broke. I'm rich.
Well,
I mean, suck it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Y'all feel me?
Anyway, by the way, in the comments, are you Jordan guys? Are you Adidas guy? Nobody's an Adidas guy.
It's National Photography Day today. Tweet us a picture of your favorite shoe if you're a shoe head.
Yep, I agree. Jacob Yates says no one wants Kyrie. The guy's genius on the court is buried deep in the dirt of his flat earth by his off-court antics. Good.
Please respect my privacy. Next question.
Okay, well, here's a question. Does Kyrie Irving make the Lakers a championship contender?
Yes.
I think he does. You put Kyrie on the floor with even broken down, don't have a groin Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
He makes those two guys better, and there's no way around it. The only question is how many games is he going to miss?
And he's a big shot maker. I agree, though. The issue with Kyrie Irving, and you know what, man? I think you're exactly right about this off-court stuff. The idea, and I don't fault him for being Muslim. I really don't. I don't have any issue with it. The issue comes in for like Ramadan, where last year, I mean, he looked
not good.
He looked emaciated. Like he looked like a guy that hadn't eaten in a year.
Yeah.
And he's like coming out with a sandwich on the bench. Like,
and you know what I loved about that?
It's just so tough to not to be a jerk about it. I want you to exercise your religious belief.
Yeah.
I do. But at what price? You're paying him $37 million, and you know that during Ramadan he's going to fast sun up to sundown.
Hey, guys.
I mean, it makes a difference if you're the Lakers. It makes a difference if you're the Nets. It does. I hate to say that, but it makes a difference.
It matters.
Marlon Shaw gives us a $10 tip. What's up? He says, listening from Florida as a BYU fan, I would like to hear your opinion with respect to Donovan Mitchell trade is what value the picks have with all the restrictions on the picks are. What true value is there? Well, I think there's no doubt about the fact that they need to be unprotected picks. And you need pick swaps to offset, those unprotected picks. And I think this coming season is critical because the 2023 NBA draft is loaded. Now, they're not going to get VW. They're not. The Jazz are never going to be in a position to have the number 1 overall pick. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think you make a huge error in judgment if you think VW is a guy that you can put in and just all of a sudden become a contender. I mean, I just don't see, like, your guy in Oklahoma City, man.
Chet.
Who weighs more, VW or Chet?
My finger.
They're both like 84 pounds with rocks in their pockets.
Yeah.
You have a lot of development to do there. That's not who Danny Ainge has been.
Yeah.
I think Danny Ainge is acquiring assets to make trades because he knows that's how he's going to have to build this team.
Yeah.
So I actually do think there's a lot of value in those picks. I think there's a tremendous amount of it. First-round draft picks are currency in this league. Second-round picks, First-round draft picks are currency in this league. It's that simple. So I actually do think there's a lot of value in those. Brandon Price says, like Jordan's, but a big fan of Mitchell's line with Adidas. Can't wait for the Don 4s. I really liked James Harden's first shoe. I played in that shoe. I bought two different pairs of it. The Volume 1 was a phenomenal shoe. But even like the Boost, like I struggle. I have one pair of Boosts that actually,
Ultra Boost,
that Jake got me for Christmas one year. They're really comfortable. They don't perform. In my opinion,
what does that mean? They don't perform.
You don't get the bounce of the life out of them as an athletic shoe, and as a style shoe, I just don't think the Ultra Boost, is that good looking. I grew up dying for Sambas from Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
Love the Samba. Other than that, I'm just not an Adidas guy.
Yeah.
I'm just not an Adidas guy. That's my thing. I love Jordans. But I actually think Don's got a good-looking shoe. I like that it's affordable. And I like that he gives a lot of them away in the community.
Yeah.
I think he does a lot with Adidas in the community. Let's see. Down Up Down says Kyrie won't be a headache this season unless he wants to jeopardize a $200 million contract he's able to sign next offseason. See, Down Up Down, I agree with you. I think Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant largely. There's so many guys on prove-it deals. Donovan Mitchell is a guy who's got to prove it this year. I look at Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker, who's making $50 million a season now, he's got to take a step forward, and I think Devin Booker knows that. I think when you look around this league, a guy like look at Kyle Lowry. Do you think Kyle Lowry's in the shape that Kyle Lowry's in because he's trying to retire? Fat. I think Kyle Lowry wants one more bite off the financial apple, right? So he's in a prove-it season because Pat Riley called him fat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you look around this league. You know who else is in a prove-it year? I heard this name yesterday or 2 days ago, that Kawhi Leonard's in a prove-it year.
Yeah. Does he still play basketball?
He's got to stay healthy. He has to. Because I think Paul George has actually gone to Los Angeles and rehabbed his image.
Yeah.
I think Paul George is a guy, now he's missed time, not the kind of time that Kawhi's missed, and I'd remind you, Paul George has been really nice in the playoffs the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
ask Jazz fans about Paul George.
Well, Joe Ingles is in his head.
Right.
Anyway, the point is, I'm telling you now, I think Kawhi Leonard's in a prove-it year, and I think a lot of these guys are in prove-it years.
Yeah.
And I think you're exactly right, Down Up Down. I think Kyrie Irving's one of those guys because he's got a lot of money on the line. Tarnell Nettingham, you guys aren't in charge of what the Knicks give or not for Mitchell. Are you sure? Damn.
Yeah, next question.
I mean, I thought we were, but,
What are we doing? Why are we doing this show then? I thought we were only doing this show to command what the Knicks give up for.
You think you know it all.
Wow. Well, you just ruined my day. Because here, Tarnell, I thought we ran the world.
Yeah,
It's really unfair.
Is that? Do you think that's why Vladimir Putin hasn't returned my calls? Because we don't know.
This is why.
We don't run the world and stuff. It is what it is, I guess. Michael Burton. Can we offer multiple first-round picks to get the number one pick? I mean, you can offer. But, I mean, if you think about the teams that are really in position to get that number one pick, you look at the bottom of the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to have to they're going to be trampling themselves. And do you really want the number one pick? I mean, do you know how much risk is in if you look at the history of the NBA? And let me just pull this up. Mm-hmm. If you look at the history of NBA first round picks, let's see. And you look at the Bennetts of the world. NBA.
The thing with VW,
number one.
Dude is what, 7'3"?
Picks.
Is he 7'5"?
No, he's like 8'6".
You know what I mean? Like, he's so tall, and the athleticism is totally there for the size. But I mean, you're one misstep away from dude being out. Like, it's crazy.
All right, let's see who of these picks are like superstars. Paulo Banchero. Don't know yet. Although I will say,
good chance.
DeJounte Murray punked him bad.
Mm-hmm.
Cade Cunningham. Legit. Anthony Edwards. Legit. Zion Williamson. Fat. DeAndre Ayton. Bust at number one. Markelle Fultz. Bust. Ben Simmons. Bust. Karl Anthony Towns.
Can't say he's a bust, but I don't think he's lived up to number one overall.
Andrew Wiggins. Bust as a number one pick. Anthony Bennett.
Bust.
Biggest bust in the history of the NBA. Anthony Davis.
No, he's lived up to it. He's lived up to it.
With the Lakers.
Nah, he's lived up to it overall, I feel like. I mean,
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving.
He's lived up to it.
John Wall.
No.
Blake Griffin.
No.
Derrick Rose.
Yes.
MVP. Greg Oden. Bust.
No.
Andre Bargnani. Andrew Bogut.
No.
Dwight Howard.
No.
You don't think Dwight Howard lived up to it? I think he was the best player in the NBA for 5 years.
Yeah.
LeBron James.
Obviously.
Yao Ming.
Obviously.
Bust. Kwame Brown. Bust. Kenyon Martin. Bust. Elton Brand.
Bust.
Not for the Bulls. He wasn't worth it. Michael Olowokandi. You don't even know who that is. Bust. Tim Duncan. Yes. Allen Iverson. Yes. Joe Smith. Bust. Glenn Robinson. Bust. Chris Webber. Bust. Shaquille O'Neal. Yes. Larry Johnson. Grandmama. Best days were as a Hornet or a Knick. Derek Coleman. Purvis Ellison. Nah, bro. Danny Manning. Yes. David Robinson. Yes. Like, I'm back to 1986. There's a lot of guys who don't live up to it. Yeah. And I think some of these young guys, if you look at it, the recent guys, Cade Cunningham, I think Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards are on the route to being stars.
Yeah, they both have the goods.
DeAndre Ayton, Markelle Fultz, Zion Williamson, Ben Simmons.
No.
Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins.
Wait, prove it here. Karl Anthony Towns.
I think there's a lot of busts at the top of this draft.
Better fucking execution.
You know, that's why I say I would just be very careful when you say, well, I want the number one pick. Do you, though?
Yeah.
Do you? NY Jazz fan gives us $2. Thank you for that tip. Appreciate it. Says, would expanding / diluting the NBA be a good move? I don't think it would.
Donnie, please.
I don't think it would. Let's see. Cash Out James says, Weber a bust? I think he was.
Yeah.
I think Chris Webber absolutely was a bust.
Yeah.
And I'll pull up his numbers.
Obviously, you know, big impact. But, you know, again, we're not talking about did you just make waves or did you just do some things in the league? Like, I think for a number one overall pick, you need championships, or like MVPs, or you need like, hey, I was the guy in the league with the team that drafted me for a good amount of time. Like,
do you guys recall the first 3 teams that Chris Webber played for? The Warriors. Everybody remembers the Warriors. Who remembers him as a Detroit Piston?
Not me.
Who remembers Chris Webber as a Philadelphia 76er?
Not me.
Then you remember him as a Sacramento King.
We're really focused on Philadelphia right now.
But here's the question. Didn't his legacy die on the floor in Dallas when he hurt his knee?
Yeah.
I think it did. Chris Webber, not a championship player. Didn't win a ring. Now, you want to look at his career stats? Okay, we can have that conversation. Chris Webber, number 1 overall pick. Just off the top of your head, what would you think his points per game average on his career is?
It's got to be 25 at least.
20.
Disappointing.
What do you think he averaged when you look at games per year? It's a guy that averaged 64 games a year.
That's not good enough, dude. I'm sorry. That's just not good enough.
And by the way, he played in a different era, but he didn't even average 30% from 3. He didn't shoot 50% from the floor. This guy that averaged 20 points and 9 rebounds. Is that a Hall of Famer?
Is he a second rounder or a number 1 overall pick?
Number 1 overall pick.
Come on, guy.
Number 1 overall pick.
Come on.
You bugging, Cash Out James says. Could be. NYC 718 says Weber is on the cusp of entering the Hall of Fame. How is he a bust? Well, that's cool. Your mom's probably going to get into the Naismith Hall of Fame.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like the Hall
We're
of Fame.
talking about number 1 overall picks. We're talking about, hey, did you live up to it? And I know that there's not a rubric on paper that defines living up to it, but again, going down that list we just went down, Allen Iverson, yes. I look at current guys in the league, like John Morant was drafted number 2 overall. Probably should have been number 1 overall. He's living up to it, right? Like, I look at some of these other guys who are living up to it. It's obvious the guys who do, and it's obvious the guys who don't.
And maybe bust is probably strong. I mean, he did win Rookie of the Year. Like, okay, I get that. He was never the best player on a championship team. And having covered him in Sacramento, Chris Webber was high maintenance.
Dude, isn't that what the number 1 overall pick is supposed to be for your team? Like, isn't Paolo Banchero, supposed to take them places?
And I look at what happened in Michigan. I don't know, man. I just don't think that Chris Webber's one.
All right.
Anyway.
Next comment.
Yeah, we'll move on. Josh Levern says, hold up, timeout.
Yeah.
Here it comes. Ryan Scandura says, I don't agree on Webber being a bust, but I also agree that anyone gets into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's not a metric you want to use. It's not. In what way is C-Web a bust, and in what way is Iverson not a bust? Well, I mean, AI's a guy. How do I put this? Allen Iverson should have been far better. And let's just tell the truth on this, right? Like, Allen Iverson should have been the best player ever. Talent-wise, Mike, Magic, Bird, I mean, you name it. AI had all the talent in the world, but he was an alcoholic. He had huge issues with the people around him off the court. I mean, I can only tell you the crazy stories of trying to get him on The Last Word at Fox Sports. When I produced a TV show at Fox Sports, The Last Word, he was a guest, and just trying to get him to show up at the airport was a disaster. Was a disaster. Like, Allen Iverson should have been the best player to ever play the game. He was a disappointment. But he also,
isn't that the legend of him?
But he also took Philadelphia back to the NBA Finals on his own. And he weighed 37 pounds doing it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, no kidding. Pudge MIC says if AI was 6'6", my God.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Seriously. Anyway, all right. Couple other things I want to get to in the NBA real quick, because I think this, I love these conversations, by the way.
Yeah.
Like Hall of Famer, bust, good, great. Like, I mean, I think it's phenomenal. Like, this guy yesterday on Twitter was busting my balls, so I said to him that Patrick Ewing should have dunked. I mean, like, I love those conversations, right? I almost cried when Patrick Ewing missed that finger roll. I'm serious. I'm not even joking. I almost cried. A couple other things in the NBA. How good is Julius Randle? Why do you sigh?
Because, dude, Julius is all team. I should have been better than I am. That's what Julius is, man. Like, I love what the guy, like, when Julius Randle is playing well, he is one of the most enjoyable players in the league to watch. He is fun to watch, but
yes,
there is just too many times where he's in a pissy ass mood and his demeanor on the floor is not good, and like, I mean, it's a frustrating experience, because he really should be like, when I think of Julius Randle, I go back to guys like Zach Randolph. That's who I go back to. I think of, hey man, Zach Randolph of Memphis was an absolute savage. You knew what you were getting out of him, and you just knew it. And that's what I have always hoped that Julius Randle would be, but I feel like too many times he just doesn't. It just like you're expecting it to go in, and it doesn't. It just doesn't. So how good is he? I don't know how we define that, but what I can tell you is I'm left wanting more. I'm left saying, all right, yeah, I feel like you should have made that one and you didn't, and you've been cold, and you are all pissed off because you're having a bad game. That's what I think is the struggle with Julius, and that's why I say I don't think there's a huge appetite for him around the league, So, yeah, I mean, how good is he? He's probably like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. That's probably where I'd put him at.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I like his size. I like that he can knock down the threes, a mid-30s three-point shooter.
Yeah.
I mean, I want more, as the old saying goes. I mean, looking at his numbers, I want more. I want him to play more games. I want him to be consistent mentally.
I want
more. Is he trash, or is he a guy that you can't have on your team? He's not. But he also isn't one of the guys that can be one of your first two options.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good third. Like he's that guy that if you are, if you have 2 star players on your team, he fills out your team well.
Okay, so what would the Hawks be if it was Julius instead of John Collins?
Man, that's interesting.
You see what I mean? Like, it's hard to define what you would be because you don't know what you're going to get out of Julius. That's the thing. He's left-handed, by the way. Let's not forget that. That changes things.
He's got tremendous size. I mean, I don't know, man. He's never going to be what you need him to be in New York. And this is one of the questions I would have for Leon Rose, who never does interviews. But where are you at with Julius? Like, is this a guy you're trading? My guess is that most people would say he's garbage. I would guess. CA Mafia says, to his defense, the Knicks forced him to a first option role. He's not with he is not that with a better point guard. He can be more efficient and still get you 10 to 15 boards a night. Well, and I also think he's capable of giving you 17 to 20 on a given night.
Yeah.
So if he's a double-double, So White Falcon 44 says, no IQ, LOL, Randle can't get it right. Well, I also think you don't want him as your number one option. I don't. Julius Randle is fine, but the lights are too bright for him as a Knick. It's not a coincidence that his best season came when fans weren't in the stands. Well, that's probably not a coincidence. Team Money says Randle would thrive in small hick town like Utah. Wow, a small hick town like Utah.
Man.
Well, those damn Mormons.
Man, that was really original. Have you ever heard that joke before?
I have not.
I've never heard that before.
Did you know there are Mormons in Utah?
This is fucking America.
Wow.
That Mormon comment got filtered by.
Wow.
Hey, man. Like, why is that the perception? I live in Utah. I am not from Utah. I am not Mormon. But I'm telling you now, this is the single best place I've ever lived. And I've lived in LA. I grew up in Chicago. It's just weird to me that people are like, oh, Utah sucks. It's,
Okay, so that's how it's going to be.
Good. Don't come here. Don't come here.
Can't even swim in the lake. It's all salty.
Yeah, don't come here.
No,
You know
you're
what I mean?
salty. Utah.
Come on, man.
Anyway, Pudge says Randle is getting traded. Yeah, I would agree with that. Ghost says Randle is a fool's gold. He's the best player during a contract season. Well, there you go. Hey, brother, says between we trying to trade Julius Randle to the Jazz, that's a negative. I mean, who we think a trade with? I want Melo in it if we are able to trade with D. Mitch. I'm a Knicks fan. That's my opinion. Okay.
Cool, man.
Okay.
I like it.
Frank Bagnato.
Yeah.
Frank Bagnato arrested on murder. He's the guy that put that body in the barrel at the bottom of Lake Mead. That's a mafia name. Frank Bagnato.
I've always stood on my innocence.
The Bagnato. Wow, already
What?
with the DeShaun drop.
What?
The Bagnotto crime family.
Yeah.
They knocked off a bakery and broke Julius Randle's foot when he was a Laker. Life in prison.
I've always stood on my innocence.
I cannot believe you're already playing that. Fat Jesus says, it's not too late for you to convert. Can I send you some literature? The missionaries come to the door and you're like, no, I'm fine.
I saw it.
I'm fine. When we first moved to Utah, we lived in Sandy.
Yeah.
And to our right was the bishop, or was the president of the stake. To our left
What is the stake for all those who don't know what that is?
Oh, that area. Essentially the local church, the local branch of the LDS church.
Okay.
The stake president was to our right. To the left was a lady that was like a bishop in the bishopric, in leadership in the stake.
You know.
Across the street was another guy in the bishopric.
Right. And then you had the crazy house down the street.
You did. That's true. They never bothered us. They asked us to come to chicken dinner every Sunday night. We said no.
Obviously.
But we used to get missionaries at our door all the time because they would stay like the guy next door to us that was the stake president, like remodeled his basement and made it essentially living quarters for missionaries, so that they could live there in comfort. And the thing that's amazing to me is everybody has this idea. Well, the Mormons are going to get you. Get ready to write that tithing check, friend. Right? Like they're coming for you. And you hear all the stereotypes. You hear that, put on the magic underwear. Like you hear that all the time.
Right.
It's just not true.
Right.
Like if you are not a member and you live a member of the LDS church, if you're not a member and you live in Salt Lake City, your life is unchanged. I mean, you're not impacted by it. Now, there's a temple on every corner, it feels like.
Are people Myron?
And there's a church on every street, it feels like.
Right.
I live in South Jordan, and I feel like there's a church on every corner.
For real, dude.
But it doesn't impact me. My neighbors are Mormon. I have a ton of Mormon families that live around us.
Mm-hmm.
How does it impact me at all? It doesn't. Not even the least bit. Well, if you're not Mormon, they're not going to talk to you. You're ostracized. There's a big X on your front door. I talk to my neighbors all the time. Like, what are you talking about? The stereotypes of what life in Utah is like. Well, now listen. I know that you guys use like horse and covered wagons to get around. We understand that you guys, anyway.
Nice field.
Yeah, I understand that you guys you call your yards field and you cultivate them.
Yeah. Nice field.
I just feel
it's
like
what it is. That's what people
think.
think Utah is, dude.
Like those Mormons.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell plays on a dirt field.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have an arena there. The Jazz actually play in an actual barn.
3/4 of this is inaccurate.
Like they built this wood barn. And it's kind of cool. Like sometimes if you just watch the camera angles, you can see the hay and the horse shit on the sideline.
Down by the river.
And them chickens, they had to stop the game. Did you guys see that? Them Mormons had their chickens in the barn that the Jazz play at. And they slipped and fell on the chicken shit. It was kind of funny.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
What are you talking about? No, I got news for you. We actually have gas-powered vehicles here in Utah. What?
All gas.
Oh, my God.
We have cars here?
And when I say hoes, I mean women, not like field tools. Okay, that's probably too far. Anyway, speaking of DeShaun Watson.
Excited about this situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
Bro.
Anyway.
Bro.
Let's see. Talking with Raphael podcast.
On PBS Radio.
The one thing I'd like to see more is Colombian restaurants, though we have a few, but not enough.
Okay. Right?
That's fine. Alex Chacon says, living in downtown Salt Lake is like living in any other major city. It's just a little smaller, which is kind of nice, LOL. I got news for you. We have drug dealers in Salt Lake City. We have a huge addiction problem. We have every problem that major cities have. Crime. We have pollution, massive pollution. Well, what do you mean? Is it methane from horse farting? No, guy, it's actually...
You said methane
Is
from
methane?
horse farting.
Well, look, I know that you guys, plow the hose and stuff.
Wow.
Thank you, Michael Burton, for the $1 tip. Appreciate you.
Wow.
He says every chapel has a basketball court because we love basketball, Michael Burton says.
Well,
when I went and visited Salt Lake City, we pulled up to the church on a donkey. And when we got it, I walked into the church, and I'll tell you, that church ball court with that rug on it, man.
Razzle dazzle.
You ever see that Jimmer Frydet guy?
Jimmer.
Yeah, the Jimmer Frydet. That Jimmer Frydet was pretty good at Brigham.
Wow. Dude.
The stick. Anyway, Pudge MIC says Utah is the worst is the West Coast Boston. Could be.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, Whitey Bulger's dead, so what? Who cares? Boston doesn't exist. Teams have to have salary meet within 90% of the cap, so that's why the Jazz would be okay with RJ who's due for a rookie extension. Correct. I don't know that they'd be okay with that. I think he's making $4 million. I think his qualifying offers 15. His cap holds like 32. You've already got that in Donovan Mitchell and a better player at that same money. Mark Rasmussen says criminals are everywhere in Salt Lake City. I jumped there I was jumped there, almost died. Well, sadly, you're right.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Sadly, you are correct. We have a lot of crime in Salt Lake City. We have a lot of homeless in Salt Lake City. Yeah. We have a lot of opioid addiction in Salt Lake City. We have real world problems.
Well, because we're in the real world.
No, we're not. This is, Do you know how many people on Twitter yesterday confused Quakers and Mormons? Do you understand how many people view the Mormons like they view the Quakers? Like, there was a dude who I think eventually blocked me after the
Patrick Ewing comment.
He was talking about, wow, you guys don't even use electricity there. What do you mean Guy, do you see the bright light on top of the Mormon temple shining on the little dude that's gold and stuff? Like, what do you mean we don't use electricity here?
Shining on the little dude.
I can't remember what they call it
and stuff.
I can't remember what they call the thing that it's out of my head. Anyway, it is what it is.
Wow.
Let's see. Lots of meth in Salt Lake City, Bodega Wi-Fi says.
Bodega.
Okay. Huey Reed says members of the church would go to baseball games on Sunday, would bring the MLB here. Change my mind. Well, they go to Jazz games on Sundays. So I don't even know that we need to change your mind. John Jackson says Supersonics are coming back to the league to balance the West since the Timberwolves joined the East.
Well, I mean, that's what needs to be done. Obviously, that's what needs to be done.
Jake, just for everybody who's new to the show.
Yeah.
I don't know, a month ago?
Probably.
We were talking about hoops, and Jake was like, oh, yeah, the Minnesota Timberwolves are winning the East.
Just misspoke.
Misspoke one time. He said that once. And John Jackson and like 10,000 others are like, oh, hey, by the way, now that the Timberwolves moved to the East,
Donnie, please.
Are those cows farting methane out in...
We're really focused on Philadelphia right now.
Anyway, It is what it is. Alex Chacon says, were you arguing with Vernon Davis? No, I was not, actually. Kurt Meyer says Maroney. Thank you.
Maroney.
Alex Chacon says were. Yeah. Fat Jesus says Mrs. Monty powers this show by riding a bike in the background. She's not riding a bike right now. I mean, she will later tonight, but it's a different kind of bike.
I've always stood on my innocence.
But I do like that that's how we actually make our electricity. I think that's what they were getting at. This is how we make our electricity. We have to pedal a bike that powers the house, you know?
Huh.
I mean, because, the Quaker Mormon LDS, like, doesn't that stand for the Latter-day Mormon or Latter-day Quakers?
Yeah.
But the Quakers use electricity. I think they're confusing them with...
somebody else.
What's the other one? The
you
Amish.
have to be nice to stupid
The Amish
people.
are the ones who don't use electricity.
The Amish.
Yeah, the Amish.
Anyways.
Sure,
I
right.
know, the Amish Quaker
it's
people.
Funny.
Right.
But,
yeah.
I mean, they make really good oats. The Mormons,
Right.
the Mormons make really good oats.
Yeah, they cut it with steel.
And stuff.
Oh, boy. Anyone who doesn't know that the Salt Lake City metro area is one of the largest for tech financial companies.
Oh, my God.
Like, You're missing
It's
it.
amazing to me.
How dumb do you think I am?
Pretty dumb. It's amazing to me that people, honest to God, are like, oh, well, they believe this stuff.
Yeah. Well, let them believe it. Please don't come here.
Yeah, seriously, don't move here.
You two motherfuckers need Jesus.
You do. You absolutely do. Marlon Shaw gives us a $10 tip and says, East Coast so in the dark about West. True story. Years ago, went to scout jabroni in the East. We took cockle burrs and painted them white.
Okay.
Traded them to folks in the East as porcelain eggs. Porcupine eggs, excuse me. You painted them. Hey, these are porcupine eggs. They have special power in your rectum.
I doubt that.
You insert them rectally.
What?
And they heal all of your sins. Wow.
You ain't fixing that.
Now, look, if you take these porcupine eggs, and I know this is going to sound crazy, and ingest them rectally, you will have a prickly feeling for the rest of your life.
A prickly feeling. Dude.
Oh, my God.
Wow, bro.
You traded them to folks in the East as porcupine eggs.
What are porcupine eggs?
Porcupine. Do they have eggs? Do they have a...
No, it's a joke. They took these spiny little cockleburs, painted them white, and said they were porcupine eggs.
Porcupine.
Do you know what a porcupine is?
Yeah, a porcupine.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a joke.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay.
Cockleburs and...
Right, okay.
It's a cocklebur. Damn it. Don't put that on your cocklebur.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Don't put it in your pants.
I've painted...
That will itch.
I've spent a lifetime dedicated to painting the cockleburs of young men across this country.
Okay. Nope. See? Nope.
I've always stood on my innocence.
Nope.
And as somebody, trust me, I have taken wrenches and pulled them cockleburs out of people's mouths constantly.
Fed about this situation.
And when I pull them out, I paint them and I sell them as porcupines.
Donnie, please.
Oh, boy.
I make a pretty good living. Look at my wagon. It's got a gold-plated cover on it. You know what I'm saying?
Take me outside. How about that?
Have you seen the shoes?
Boy.
Have you seen the shoes on my... That's Lester, my donkey. Lester, show him your shoe. Like, go look at Lester's shoes. Anyway.
You've lost your mind.
Yeah, I named my donkey Lester. What are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
What are you going to do about it?
Who does that?
Do you want to see his cockleburs?
You knew. By the way, you knew it was Friday.
Cockleburs. That's just wrong.
Marlon Shaw.
You opened up a whole wrongness.
Okay, so I was with this. I picked up this girl at the bodega the other night.
Hey guys.
And she pulled out her cocklebur, and I was like, God damn, woman.
That is a big cocklebur.
That's one hell of a blue waffle, lady. You know.
No, why?
What? Why?
And just kind of scruff it and play with it when it's
You're
wet.
triggering me. And like DeShaun, you're going to have to apologize.
Oh!
I've always stood on my innocence.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
DeShaun has made the show already.
And now I got to turn the camera and...
Fed about this situation.
Look at her cockleburs.
Yeah.
She said, look at her
Mrs. Monty hasn't been on the show, and she's back and forth.
She's
back.
You know,
my greatness only needs a short period of time.
I bring
all of the cockleburs to the yard.
Yes.
Hey, man.
And
$5, I'll show you my cocklebur.
please tip me $5 for my cockleburs.
This show is off the rails.
Ridiculous, dude.
Off
Anyways.
the rails.
Incredible.
And you've triggered me, DeShaun.
Oh, my God, yes. DeShaun, it is DeShaun's fault. Follow Mrs. Monty on Twitter.
Man.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Good morning. Let's talk about DeShaun Watson. This is going to blow your mind. I shouldn't have said that. My bad.
Yeah, why would you say that?
without further ado, here's DeShaun Watson.
You know, I'm very grateful for the NFL and the NFLPA for this disciplinary process to be, to a close and to an ending and have some clarity. And I'm looking forward to just moving forward with my career and being able to get back on the field as soon as possible. But that's the plan, is to continue to grow as a person and individual and keep pushing forward.
Oh, he had more to say, though.
Sean, how did you go from I've done nothing wrong, I've never disrespected any woman, to settling so many of these lawsuits and now agreeing to this discipline? How did you get from that point to this?
Well, I've always been able to stand on my innocence, and I've always been able to sit here and... Sorry, you want me to...
Do you care? Thank you.
I've always stood on my innocence and always said...
And then this
what
report,
are you
this
doing?
female report. I want you to the imagery of this. I'm going to play that again. Watch the female reporter and how she goes. He's trying to talk about standing on his innocence from sexual assault charges, and this female reporter comes in an uncomfortable lane.
Sean, how did you go from I've done nothing wrong, I've never disrespected any woman, to settling so many of these lawsuits and now agreeing to this discipline? How did you get from that point to this?
Well, I've always been able to stand on my innocence, and I've always been able to sit here and... Sorry, you want me to...
Do you care? Thank you.
I've always stood on my innocence and always said that I've never assaulted anyone or disrespected anyone, and I'm continuing to stand on that. But at the same time, I have to continue to push forward with my life and my career. And for us to be able to move forward, I have to be able to take steps and put pride to the side. And I'm going to continue to stand on my innocence and keep pushing forward. And I've always, stood on not disrespecting or sexual assaulting anyone.
I've always stood on not sexually assaulting or disrespecting anyone.
I've always stood on my innocence.
DeShaun.
Bro, what are you doing,
bro?
And if that wasn't bad enough, now you've heard that part. What's worse? Because here is Jimmy and Dee Haslam. By the way, remember all of the press conferences that were had at that house that's white in a certain city in this country during the thing we can't talk about, where you had to wear a face covering and the thing in your arm because YouTube will ban us? Remember that? Remember those press conferences where there were people cowering in corners? Remember that? How about Dee and Jimmy Haslam doing a press conference yesterday? Check out the general manager standing between these two brilliant folks.
Knowing what you know now, would you go back and do this all over again?
Absolutely.
Hey. So you have no qualms about making someone of questionable character the face of your franchise?
Here's what I think is that I think in this country and hopefully in the world, people deserve second chances, okay? I really think that. And I struggle a little bit. Is he never supposed to play again? Is he never supposed to be part of society? Does he get no chance to rehabilitate himself? And that's what we're going to do, okay? And you can say, well, that's because he's a star quarterback. Well, of course. But if he was Joe Smith, he wouldn't be on the headlines every day. So we think people deserve a second chance. We gave Kareem Hunt a second chance, okay? And that's worked out pretty well, okay? We're hoping this will work out, and we have strong belief it will. That doesn't mean we don't have empathy for people affected, and we will continue to do so. But we strongly believe people deserve a second chance. We believe DeShaun Watson deserves a second chance.
Bro.
What?
Bro.
And then how about Andrew Barry, the general manager, standing there like, just like moving his...
It's incredible.
Like, look at I'm going to play 10 seconds of that. That's all you need. Look at Andrew Barry, the general manager, standing between Dee and Jimmy Haslam.
You know now, would you go back and do this all over again?
Absolutely.
Hey. So you have no qualms about making someone of questionable character the face of your franchise?
Here's what I think.
Come on, dude. Come on, bro. How uncomfortable must it be?
Like, look at his head is like...
He's on a swivel.
Well, if I run to the right, there's a gate. Like he's... Not to mention...
Dude.
Yeah.
Not to mention, nobody knows who Andrew Barry is. And yesterday on Twitter, so many people thought Andrew Barry was DeShaun Watson standing there between the owner. Because he's
about this situation.
He's a young black guy. So, hey, young black guys, Standing between two white people like, oh, no, he's the face of our franchise. You know, Jimmy Haslam yesterday is talking about DeShaun Watson. He's like, well, he's 26 years old and he's a quarterback. Of course he deserves a second chance. Are you kidding me? This after DeShaun Watson's like, I don't have to, I apologize to everybody.
I've always stood on my innocence.
Hey, DeShaun, you're accused by multiple women, like, I don't know, not 10, not 20, like almost 30 women said that you committed sexual assault against them.
About this situation.
Are you going to apologize? Do you want to apologize?
I've always stood
what
on my innocence.
What DeShaun doesn't get, and he kept leaning towards it when he was being interviewed, that I'm innocent. I was never violent. Like, that's what it ended up hanging on, was that the judge said that his sexual assault wasn't violent sexual assault. And it's like, but you still did what you still assaulted these women.
About this
It's
situation.
just you weren't violent. Oh, okay. So we'll just wipe that away. But it was so bizarre to hear him say, oh, I'm sorry. I know it's triggering. It's triggering for some women.
It's wild.
I don't understand it. Like, I wish that
he needs therapy in order for him to understand it.
And by the way, he's getting therapy. He has league mandated therapy. So DeShaun Watson's been suspended the first 11 games. Oddly enough, his first game back will be December 4th against his former club, the Houston Texans in Houston. This is only going to cost him about $900,000. And next year he's going to make $40 million. And he has league-appointed therapy and counseling that he must partake in for the suspension to end. So, but this whole thing, the optics of this are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest issues is that DeShaun seemingly, his defense is that it's not that he's guilty. It's more that people, and all jokes aside, that people were affected by a situation, as if somehow this situation was out of someone's control and these people just were affected and he's being punished for that. That's what I think the biggest thing here is. Like, it had if you just YouTube search the whole press conference, you listen to the whole thing, I would encourage you to. You will hear all day long, both from DeShaun, from Jimmy, from D, from the GM, them saying, hey, we're not going to comment on what Sue Robinson said. We're not going to comment on what Roger Goodell said, which, while I understand that's a strategy you have to go with, I still maintain this, and this is what I've always said about the NFL. These situations are opportunity to make a difference and define what represents you or how you're going to treat the situation. And to sit there and just say, well, we're not going to comment on this or comment on that. And for DeShaun to have the stance that this somehow was accidental is not the right word, but just like a situation that affected people. That's not what this was, dude. Like, you flew. Some people think you flew 60 or 70 masseuses out before these 25 became a problem for you. That's an insane number. That's the problem. This isn't some accidental situation. That was my biggest issue with the whole press conference yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly weird that you're in a position here where you just don't have perspective
at all.
It's incredible to me. We're talking about more than 20 women saying that your quarterback, who you traded for after all of this came out, sexually assaulted them. He has settled with them, and you're saying everybody deserves a second chance. Well, he's on his 30th chance, Jimmy. I just don't know how this could have gone any worse.
Well, and I also
honest to God.
I also think that the NFL has a stigma issue with rich white owner not being in touch with the reality of the world. That's another thing that I think the NFL deals with. And this goes back to, Bob Kraft. This goes back to, Jerry Jones has had his fair share of issues. There have been multiple examples, but this is just yet another one where you have Jimmy standing up there trying to advocate for a guy who, assaulted, 25, 30 women when it was probably 40 or 50. There are probably plenty more that we haven't, that didn't come forward. So I don't know. What I would have rather them have said is this did happen. We went through this process and we still decided to sign him. That's the decision we've gone with because we feel like, hey, he did all this, but we think he's valuable to us on the football field. I wish people would just say that.
I think that's what they did say.
I don't know about that.
I think they did say, we believe he deserves a second chance. We believe that, we can give him the opportunity to rehabilitate himself.
The problem is they never said that he did this. They simply said, hey, we're giving $1 million to charity and causes to work in the community.
That also went over terribly.
Oh, it did.
Jimmy was trying to move on to questions, and D jumps in randomly trying to say that they're donating to charity. And it felt like it was more of a formality than they were actually trying to make a difference.
Yeah, I just think that this is incredibly... it's so short-sighted. It's so just tone deaf. And I don't know how you fix it. I really don't think there's any way to fix this with what the Cleveland Browns and the NFL has done here. I think it's... And you know what? I think this is a really good thing. T. Martin says if it was some other people, they would be in prison, e.g. black or Hispanic non-professional athletes.
Yeah.
Well, I look at Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger was in this exact same situation. Now, it wasn't 26 women or whatever he settled with. But Ben Roethlisberger was accused of far more heinous crimes than this.
But the balls to bring up Kareem Hunt. How are you bringing up Kareem Hunt in this press conference? It's incredible to me that you would say, well, we did this once with Kareem Hunt, so we're definitely going to do it again. That to me is incredible. Just shows no remorse, I just don't think it shows any sort of empathy towards the victims.
And
look
at Scandura making a great point. Let's not forget Ben Roethlisberger was celebrated last year when he retired as some kind of hero.
Yeah.
And he's not some kind of hero. And it's just the thing that bothers me so much about this. It's just another instance where there's been violence against women and the NFL has failed to act. That's what this is. And you look at what the Haslam said yesterday. Well, Kareem Hunt got a second chance with us, and it's worked out really well. That doesn't make it right. Kareem Hunt, you'll remember, was on tape heel kicking a woman who was kneeling on the ground.
And what is DeShaun not? Not on tape.
And I don't know. I believe, and I know this is probably going to piss some people off, if DeShaun Watson was not an NFL quarterback, he'd be in prison.
Mm-hmm.
If DeShaun Watson was white, I don't believe he would be getting an 11-game suspension.
Well, if he didn't have the simple truth is if he didn't have the money to settle with all these women, he wouldn't be standing there.
No, he wouldn't.
Right.
No, he wouldn't.
That's just the truth.
You have to. I mean, the things he's accused of.
He'd have been done.
Yeah.
The things he is accused of. I don't know. Knicks 100 a game says, is this court system or media? What do you mean? Is this?
What's your point? What's your question?
I don't think there's any doubt that this is the number one topic in sports right now.
By the way, the Cleveland media deserves a lot of credit. They straight up roasted those people.
Oh, they went after him. They absolutely went after him. No
dude.
doubt about it. Keith Carl said, this is the most Browns thing ever until the next Browns thing ever happens. Truth.
No.
Yeah. Truth. Go Black 45 says the court of public opinion guilty forever. Indeed they are.
Agreed.
Indeed they are. There is no doubt about that. I don't know, man. I think when you look at the pass that athletes get and the free pass that wealth buys you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at politicians, famous people. The only guy we've seen really not buy his way out of something is look at Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
But how many other guys have bought their way out of stuff? Look at Kobe.
The list is endless.
Kobe is in this conversation. Kobe was accused of sexual assault and settled his case out of court after it went to trial. I was there for that. That was not a good thing for Kobe Bryant. But Kobe Bryant's revered as a hero today. You know, it's
time
amazing.
Heals all, right? Time heals all wounds. That's what the league counts on.
Athletic ability whitewashes a lot of stuff.
Yep.
It makes you forget about, hey, we're just going to cover that up. We're just going to cover that up. Because you can throw a football. Because you can put a basketball in a hoop. And it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I just don't know. It is what it is. Let's see. Michael Burton says, is it sexual assault if both parties consent prior to sex, but after the act, she then asks for money and he doesn't pay? I don't think there's any question that is, how do I say this kindly? There's no evidence that happened.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that, okay, if it was one time, maybe he gets the benefit of the doubt.
Trevor Bauer.
Maybe. And Trevor Bauer actually has text messages backing up his story. Witnesses that were friends with the woman accusing Trevor Bauer saying, hey, here's what she said. In DeShaun Watson's case, it's 26 women.
I've always stood on my innocence.
Making very similar claims. And some of them are heinous sexual assaults.
Offended about this situation.
It's hard to say, well, this is a money grab.
Yeah.
26 times?
Yeah.
He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt that level, does he? I don't think so. I really don't. Brandon Price says NFL settled for a money grab knowing everyone will have their eyes on the game in Houston week 13. Could be. Absolutely could be.
Yeah.
Could be. T-Money says, well, if this was some other people, they would be in prison. I agree with that.
Yeah.
He was passionate about his massages. Angry Emu says, yes, he was. Yes, he was.
The Cleveland media, and I just want to keep pointing this out because we talk about the media a lot on this show. Go watch that press conference. The Cleveland media asked the Browns GM, hey, what's the protocol for massage therapy for athletes moving forward? Legitimately, they asked that question. The Browns, the GM specifically, refused, because the question included, hey, is it going to be a male or a female? The Browns refused to answer that question. They said, well, we've already got that kind of laid out, and that happened before all this, and we're not really talking about that. That's when we talk about accountability from the media, that's what we're talking about. That is I just thought the media handled it really well.
That's a great question. They need to have that clearly defined.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're an athlete making millions of dollars, you should have clearly defined it already for yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Knicks 100 a game says, would you like your screw-ups in life publicly on display, but everyone an expert at life? GTFO. I think here's the problem with that. He's an NFL quarterback. With those opportunities come a lot more expectations and responsibility. Do you understand that the Cleveland Browns backloaded his contract because they knew he was going to get suspended? He is. I'm pretty sure he's going to make like $42 million something next year.
You don't get to hide.
Do you understand that he's going to lose the $5 million fine plus $900,000 in salary this year, and he's getting all of it back next year?
Yeah.
This is not. I understand he's paid these women off and settled with them. Let's call it millions. Do you think he's really paid a fair price for this? Do you really think, if we believe just half of the allegations are true, is this a fair penalty for him? No, it's not. And it's not close. Come on.
That question of would I want my, my misdeeds publicized? I wouldn't want them publicized as me. But the problem is that I don't represent an NFL team as their quarterback, and I'm not a public figure like that. I mean, we do public figure work, and so even more scrutiny. I don't get paid millions, tens of millions of dollars to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter. You are responsible for you. And just because you have a different job or a status doesn't mean you should be able to get away with this stuff.
And the public are the ones who paid DeShaun Watson's salary.
Mm-hmm.
We make it possible because we buy tickets, we buy his jersey, we buy, NFL Sunday ticket, we watch games on TV, we buy pizza, we do all this stuff. We enable him. So the questions the Cleveland media was asking about, hey, do you feel comfortable having DeShaun Watson in our community? Those are really good questions. And I agree with you, Jake. I think the Cleveland media did a really good job yesterday. Mm-hmm. Gabe Ledley, good morning to you. And if DeShaun Watson was an NFL owner, absolutely nothing would be happening to him right now.
All right, Robert Kraft. Absolutely
That's
nothing.
exactly
Jimmy
right.
Haslam. What's happening to Jimmy Haslam? He's completely enabling this guy. Nothing's happening to Jimmy.
No.
What happened to the Houston Texans? Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. JJ says we will likely never know exactly what happened. No, we won't.
No.
I would agree with that. Fat Jesus says if Watson weren't an athlete, the women might not have come forward. Didn't they go to a lawsuit before the police? Yeah, they went to this. Well, what happened was the lawyer in the case that represented the women rounded up a bunch of more women. And so he put together an overwhelming case and then was like, gold diggers? Oh, no, we're working with the police.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think criminal charges were ever an option in this case. I really, really do not. I don't think that ever happened. I'm only saying if, as I don't know the evidence to be his judge, jury, and executioner. Well, all I can say is the evidence, it's public. This guy flew masseuses from other states to Houston, and the Texans knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was using one of the team-affiliated hotels, renting out a suite, and in standard sexual assault fashion, sexual predator fashion, when I go get a massage, I know I only use a small washcloth to cover myself. The judge who heard this case called it the towel trick because he would use a washcloth. He refused to wear a sheet. When these women would show up, he would be like, no, I'm not using a sheet. I'm using this washcloth. And he would cover himself, and he would already be nude when they arrived. Come on, dude. Really? Are we really arguing the merits when it's 26 people?
Yeah.
Come on. Sean Butterfield says, here's the deal. Public figure or not, you should own your mistakes. And he won't.
And
he won't.
I could kind of understand if DeShaun, I wouldn't even be surprised if DeShaun didn't own his mistake in a press conference setting. I could kind of get that. Just because that's our culture. But the fact that the Haslams didn't own it and didn't say, hey, yeah, yes, we know what he did. We know. I feel like it just sent the message from DeShaun, the ownership group, the GM, across the board, we're not accepting or going to say that he's guilty of anything. We're just saying this is something we have to deal with, which I think sends the complete wrong message.
Yeah, I have no sympathy for DeShaun Watson whatsoever. I have no sympathy for him whatsoever. I feel like the NFL absolutely botched this thing. And if I were the National Football League, I would have had Roger Goodell. I would have had him immediately appeal it. I would have had him been the judge and ruler on this, which he is well within his right to do. I would have suspended him indefinitely. DeShaun Watson would have never played in that preseason game last week.
Mm-hmm.
He would be out this entire season. He would have to go through intensive therapy. And I think the only path to redemption is through your actions, not your words.
Yeah.
It's appalling to me. It's appalling to me that he refuses to take any accountability for his actions.
I've always stood on my innocence.
Any actions. And the out-of-court settlement allows him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
And the biggest question, I guess the thing that bothers me so much is I don't believe that DeShaun Watson understands that his actions have damaged human beings. And I don't care about the Browns or the Texans. His actions damaged a certain number of these women. Is it likely even that some of these women just hopped on board for a payday? Sure. I'm willing to even admit that. There are women in this case that are physically and mentally damaged for the rest of their life.
Offended about this situation.
In my opinion, that's Deshaun Watson's fault.
Yeah.
And the fact that these women were outed and they were named and that this Solis woman had people go after her and call her a gold digger and a whore because how dare she come forward and say she was sexually assaulted. That's the problem with this case.
It's the same standard as an exotic dancer. They're like, so you got raped. You're an exotic dancer. So you got sexually assaulted. You're a massage therapist that does it privately. I don't care. If I didn't want it and if it wasn't consensual, if I didn't agree to that before being flown to wherever to perform massage, not sex, If I didn't agree to the sex beforehand, then it's not okay.
And
you paid me to come and do massage.
The hard part is, and I think this helped a lot of these women. These women are like professional, like massage trained, educated massage professionals.
Yes.
Like they have, the one woman has a clinic, and she only agreed to treat him because he talked about how his athletic performance was being damaged. And
yeah,
come on, he was talking about how,
and he knew his intent was to bring them there to get them to perform sexual acts. That's the issue. That is the sticking point. DeShaun, you knew that is what you essentially wanted, but you did not put that in your communication with them.
I don't know, man. I just think
you got to be clear. Trevor Brower, totally clear.
Bots.
Yeah, of course the bots are here to talk about DeShaun
Damn
Watson.
bots.
Yeah. But, you know, be clear up front. And if you're ordering a massage, anyone, male, female, I don't care who you are, if you're going to get a massage, if you are ordering someone to come and do massage, you are not ordering sex unless you have clarified that.
Yeah, I just think, in my opinion, this is what DeShaun Watson was after. I think DeShaun Watson, you don't have, and again, this is my opinion, you don't have 20-something women provide massage services. When you're a professional athlete that is using massage ethically and for its intended purpose, which is to help you physically recover, you don't have 26 different masseuses. You have one.
Yeah.
Every professional athlete that I believe in as a human being, you know, most of the guys I know have like two. Like, I can tell you back in the day, Shaquille O'Neal had one, and it was a guy. Like, you just don't put yourself... Anyway.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Can we please talk about Papa John's and pizza now?
Yeah.
No, we're going to not talk about pizza, though.
Oh, that's right. We're going to talk about bowls.
Excuse me. It's a Papa Bowl, please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Papa John's is now serving pizza that doesn't have crust.
Fat.
So they're not serving pizza. They're serving pasta in a bowl, essentially. And what these bowls are is they are toppings. They're everything a slice of pizza is, but without the crust. Your thoughts?
It's not even pasta. Like, it's a clot of cheese and meat in a bowl.
Disgusting is what it is.
I just can't get on board, man.
I would never eat this. But this brings up a larger question.
It seems so greasy.
Number one, I don't think I've ever had Papa John's pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I can wholeheartedly, honestly say, I don't believe I've ever had Papa John's.
Mm-hmm.
This does not make me look, oh, wow. Time to clog the arteries. I'm not doing this. I just, by the way, my wife was again expressing her disappointment in me last night that my cholesterol numbers were better than hers in our physicals. We both had our physicals the last week and a half.
I'm for real.
She was kind of hoping I'd be dead by this point.
No.
Right. Right. You know, right.
He
I've
doesn't
always
understand how I
stood
feel,
on my innocence.
or he has no empathy for how I feel. I guess that's the
Oh, here we go.
Offended about this
amazing.
situation.
It's amazing that genetics really do play a role in your, in your like health profile, because I can do everything that I can, and I made really good improvements from last year, but his is like literally probably 75% lower than mine. And he doesn't have to do anything. Just
I don't do anything. I don't do it. So I don't take my vitamins. I don't work out.
I do the same thing. You don't do anything different.
I don't do anything.
Boy, you
Get over it. You have extremely low cholesterol, and you don't have to do anything to manage it.
I don't have low cholesterol.
Yes, you do.
I have good cholesterol. My cholesterol is pretty darn good. It's right where it should be. I don't have low. I have normal cholesterol. And what I do is I don't eat Papa John's pizza bowls. I work out on average between 4 and 5 days a week. And the last month, it's been pretty much every day, 6 days a week. And I take supplements. I take plant sterols every day. I take CoQ10 every day. Mm-hmm. I drink a ton of water. I drink probably 70 to 80 ounces of water on a good day. So I just think that's what I do. I don't drink soda. I don't eat a lot of sugar. Like,
and what she's saying is that she does the same thing.
Well, and she eats better than Mrs. Monty eats better than I do.
Yeah.
She doesn't eat meat. She is pretty much
I get
a
why she's
vegetarian.
I'd be pissed about it too. I don't blame her.
You would be pissed about it too.
I'd be pissed about it, bro.
Yes.
Like, she works just as hard, does the same things, and because of the genetic card, you know, it makes it more difficult. Like, I don't like
disagree with it.
This is not rocket science, and I think that what's really interesting, and this is the positive side of it, and obviously you can speak on it, but just to see the improvements, I think is awesome. I mean, that at least is better than, because for the longest time, correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't changing, but then, you know, you change a couple of things and now you're seeing it.
Yeah, if I work out 7 days a week, then it'll go down, and it's been going down.
Okay.
So it takes that and me, you know, if I was to, I really need to just cut out any of the meat. I really have to just.
But you really don't eat a lot of animal product overall.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
But now
any
your
of it-
cholesterol's good, though. Like, I think you just need to continue what you're doing and limit your animal product intake. I totally agree with that. I agree genetics. I agree genetics play a role, but I'm sorry, I'm not dead. I apologize. I don't mean to be sitting here thriving. I don't mean to be healthy. I'm sorry.
I'm a fucking unit.
I'm hoping to get hit by a bus today. Let me see what I can do. You know.
Again, the zero empathy.
So wait,
on display.
can we go back to the guilt thing from the other day?
I don't actually think you want me dead. I think it's frustrating. It is.
Catch me outside. How about that?
I would agree you work very hard, and it's frustrating that a fat ass like me has, you know, the numbers that I have. I agree. I should stop. I should be serious. Like, yeah, I agree. I understand why it would be frustrating. You've worked hard for a long time, and you want to see better cholesterol numbers. That's what
which
it
you're
feels
seeing
like.
now, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there no solace taken in the fact that your numbers are actually good now?
Yeah. There's still one that I got to get down lower, but.
Did the doctor say you had to do anything different, or did
he said keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
He was impressed because I lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
In the last year,
But even that's kind of a frustrating answer to get. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. That doesn't really. I mean, that just is
you know, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right stuff. Keep it up.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like that was frustrating.
Yeah.
Mrs. John Jackson says Mrs. Monty is waiting to cash out on life insurance.
I'm for real.
No.
You know. Kay Nurin says bacon and pineapple pizza.
In a bowl without crust.
I just can't do
at
like
Papa John's.
It's like it's not even it's not like you're getting spinach and artichoke dip. It's not like you're getting
it's like a pile.
A clot of cheese and grease with meat.
No.
You want to?
I don't even understand.
No, I don't want to.
I feel the greasiness in my mouth already. Like,
that's gnar.
Oh, it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible.
Is anybody wanting these? Does anybody say they want this?
Brother. Says, is that a question? Of course it is. It tastes between no crust but different toppings. Tastes like regular side pizza. I know everything.
Yeah,
I bet it's tasty.
Okay, how much does the crust matter for pizza? For me, it matters immensely. I mean, if you have good crust, like, that defines the pizza, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would think it
Bad crust,
does.
soggy crust that's not actually crisp. Like, if you get a thin crust and it's like flimsy, hell no.
Jesse P says that's keto. There you go.
He's not wrong.
I'm sure
that technically would be
like,
keto.
Ugh.
Keto's a gnarly diet.
Just the thought of all the cheese grease at the bottom of that bowl.
Like, I don't get this.
Giggity says without the crust, you could argue it's soup. Stop it.
Oh, it's not a cheese soup.
No,
like, if it was cheese soup, I would even be more accepting. But it's not. It's a clot.
T Money says, DeShaun, are you there? It's God. He also says, Monty, you work out? No, never. What kind of workout are you doing? We actually work out.
You should
lot.
You should watch our Casuals Getting Cut series on the channel. There's a couple videos there.
And admittedly, I played basketball yesterday for the first time in, I think, a year. Honest to God. We hadn't played basketball because of the period of time we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube.
I'm not trying to be cryptic.
But I got another shot in my arm for that period of time to protect myself, and Mrs. Monty got that shot yesterday as well.
So did I.
And Jake did, but nobody cares about Jake.
Right, obviously.
The point is that we have as much protection as we're going to get. My doctor straight up said, go and play basketball, man. Go live your life.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we've been working back to it, and yesterday we played. I felt great.
Yeah.
I felt great. It was really fun to get out there. Now, I also, to Mrs. Monty's credit, my knee was a little sore last night when I got home from playing basketball, so I took a shower. Went the Melky Cabrera route, which was I spread a bunch of marijuana on my knee.
Okay, marijuana. Okay.
Yep, Mary Jane. What? Why are you laughing?
It's not weed. It is CBD ointment, and it makes a difference, right?
It did. It took some swelling out of my knee, which is great.
Yeah.
After the street
Dude,
club
you put
thing,
that
is
stuff
it-
on before you go to bed. You put
Yeah,
that
maybe
stuff
Anthony
on.
Davis should use it. Yeah, you rub it on. It comes in a little canister, and it's like
And just kind of scruff it and play with it until it's
until
wet.
it's wet. You know, like in
No.
you know, certain things. You know, when you lube it right. No, seriously, you rub it on your knee or your joint or whatever is bothering you. You're DeShaun. Anyway, my point is,
Feathered about this situation.
yeah. So I rubbed it on my knee, and I woke up this morning, and my knee is not swollen, and my knee does not hurt. And so I'll give Mrs. Monty credit. You rub that marijuana on there, put that hippie lettuce, the ganj.
Right.
You know,
It's an amazing product. We should show it on the show because, I mean, that stuff works.
Pineapple Express.
It's
I mean, you know.
CBD with arnica and like eucalyptus, and that stuff is magic.
Yeah. Pipeline from Colombia. It was amazing. Anyway, I don't think it's
the closest that he'll
Tony
ever get
Montana.
to actually, ingesting any kind of weed. So
Yeah, I've never smoked marijuana. And
Never.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine. But anyway, let's see. Angry Emu 77. Italians are collectively rolling in their graves.
Yes. They
My
are.
yes,
They
my
are.
my Italian ancestry is unhappy with this Papa
Where's
John's.
the Italian?
Pizza
it is.
bowl.
A Papa Bowl. Get the hell out
What?
of here.
Papa John Schnatter.
Oh, Papa Bowl.
What a dick.
Wonder if there's
That
any
guy
more
is.
racist bombs in that bowl.
Yeah.
Dude.
But yeah, all the workouts are on our channel and the casuals getting cut stuff. We lift probably now 3 days a week. We'll probably play basketball 3 days a week. We do some cardio and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's all good. And then real quick before we get out of here today, we got to talk about cereal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is your go-to cereal?
Berry Captain Crunch. That's my
Berry
go-to.
Captain Crunch.
Yes, big Captain Crunch fan.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's my favorite. I mean, close seconds would be Fruity Pebbles. What else?
Captain Crunch?
Cinnamon Life is bomb. But
Captain Crunch?
Yeah, Captain Crunch is
Fruit Loops?
I've never been a Fruit Loops fan.
What about Snoop Loops?
Yeah, I've seen this.
Snoop Doggy Dog. Snoop Dogg is releasing Snoop Loops. Here's the problem, though. Cereal's terrible for you in most cases.
Yeah.
They released a list this week of the worst cereals you can eat for breakfast.
Y'all about to fuck this up.
Number one worst cereal, unfortunately, is Lucky Charms.
Damn.
Number 2, Captain Crunch.
Damn.
Number 3, Fruit Loops. So
Full of sugar.
It is.
Full of sugar.
That's all it is.
But do Snoop Loops have
Weed in them?
Yeah.
I don't believe that they are a marijuana-based product. They are simply just Snoop Dogg cereal loops. They're Fruit Loops with Snoop Dogg's picture on them.
Okay.
And
okay.
I would try it. I love cereal, though.
I like
Now,
his wine.
You've had his wine.
Yeah.
I was unaware of this.
Yeah.
And it was good. What? Why do you look at me?
She's looking at you like confused, bro.
Yeah. It's what is it? 99 Crimes or whatever? Or
Oh, okay.
something. Yeah.
Well, I was just over here lowering my cholesterol. I didn't pay attention to the wine you were drinking.
Donnie, please.
Come on, that was funny. At least admit that was funny.
Cold-blooded.
At least admit that was funny. She won't.
Anyways.
Anyway,
Now
so
I'm going to need more wine.
you probably will. I am a huge fan of cereal. Being 49 years old, I eat something called Heritage Flakes.
Like, for instance,
which you can get in any store. It's high fiber. It is adult cereal.
High fiber adult cereal.
Yeah.
It is, but they're really good. They're like Wheaties for your butthole. And I eat those in Heritage
Flakes.
like the circle. They look like Cheerios.
Oh, Cheerios. Okay.
You know.
Yeah. All right.
So I eat those in combination. Or Mrs. Monty is a renowned oats maker. That's the cereal I eat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat sugar cereal. I have no fun in my life. I have no fun in my life.
Yeah, you're Mr. Consistent.
Maybe in Hawaii we'll get some of the cinnamon life.
Oh, cinnamon life is so good.
Bro.
Why did you have to say that all those weeks ago?
I want it.
Because I have thought so often about cinnamon life.
It's the best.
Man, it is. It is really, really
dude,
good.
it's bomb.
Yeah.
And you get cinnamon milk out of it. It's perfect.
But and here's the other thing I was going to ask. How many people in this chat right now, how many people watching this show? By the way, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps the show grow. Right now, hit like. But how many people here drink cow's milk? Because I do not.
I do not.
Nope.
I have not had cow's milk in like 3 days.
No, seriously, decades.
It's been probably 5 to 8, 10 years.
No, it's been longer than that, bro.
At least 10.
Yeah.
At least 10.
Is it really?
More. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been longer than that.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's been a long time. It's probably been longer than we've had. It's longer than it's been since I had soda.
Yeah.
Like I haven't had a diet or regular soda in 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
We drink almond milk in this house. And I actually really like it. You know, Angry Emu says, I'm lactose intolerant.
Ayo.
Okay.
You know what?
you know.
Most humans are.
Yeah, most humans are. You're not
You're
supposed
normal.
to drink it. Congratulations. Carl Jean Baptiste says, nope, lactose intolerant. Cody Strickland says, I do. Okay. Cash Money says, I drink whole milk. Jeez, Louise. That's crazy.
I can't, bro.
Giggity says, I used to love cow's milk, but cut it out 10 months ago and my gut is doing much better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
dude.
you go.
Hello.
Yep.
John Jackson says, I do, but I also like almond milk. I am an almond milk guy. Hundo P. But if you're going to hand me a bowl of cereal, peanut butter Captain Crunch would probably be my number 3 because it beats the hell out of your mouth.
Yes, it does.
But my God, I love all corn pops. You know what else is terrible for you? Honey Smacks. Awful for you.
Gosh.
I love Honey Smacks.
Yeah.
Love them. I like that oatmeal square cereal. Love that stuff. Terrible for you. It doesn't have much oatmeal, but it's got a whole hell of a lot of corn syrup and sugar.
Yeah. The corn syrup, man. Everything's got corn syrup.
I do love
Everything.
me.
Because we subsidize it
Count-
with
yes.
our government.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay!
Government subsidy.
Count chocolate. Anything with marshmallows in it. Like when we
yeah.
went camping, we did s'mores.
Bomb, dude.
Dude,
I would do s'mores on my stove like every night. I mean, they're just that good.
I
love
honestly
s'mores.
think that melted marshmallows are an aphrodisiac.
Yeah. Crack.
I'm pretty sure I felt blood flowing.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it's true.
Wow.
I think it's true. Let's see. Couple more comments, then we got to go. Cash Money says, I don't like drinking watered down milk.
Almond milk, bro. I'm telling you, man.
Almond milk is the good stuff.
It's just not good for you. And I know there's so much misinformation out there. And of course, the dairy makers are selling you on the goodness of milk. The problem is it's not good for you. And we're the only species that's drinking milk past infancy.
They say the calcium's the reason to drink milk. Your body won't absorb the calcium in the milk.
It actually leaches it out.
Just so you know. I'm just saying.
Ouch.
Ryan Buckley says Life cereal, yes.
Yeah, cinnamon life, though.
Yes. Justin Salas says unpasteurized milk for the win.
Oh.
Wow.
Nar.
Is that true?
Nar.
Bro.
No.
Let's see. Carl Jean Baptiste says, I love lactate because it tastes just like whole milk. And fellas, can we give Count Chocula was slaps but horrible for you? Oh, my God, Count Chocula.
I liked the
Come on.
Cocoa Krispies when I was a
Oh,
kid.
yes,
Cocoa
ma'am.
Krispies.
Yes, ma'am. See, total redemption for you wishing me dead. Cocoa Krispies are absolutely redemptive. They have redemptive qualities.
Wow.
I forgive you now that you brought that
Total
up.
redemption for wishing me dead.
Yeah. Hey.
You gotta fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go.
You know.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
There you go.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. She never wished me dead. I'm just being a victim.
I am now, though.
Ryan Buckley would like to be the last comment of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay. Better be a good one, bud.
Speaking of Mrs.
Ryan?
Monty, he says human milk is good.
I can't. Yeah. Okay.
Listen, I'm a
We're
guy
gonna
of simple
go.
taste.
But let's just say, don't drink other animals' milk.
Oh, are you kidding me?
What?
We talk about breast milk, and what do we get?
Ryan, this is your fault, dude.
What do we get?
This is your fault.
We get bots in the chat.
This is your fault, dude.
We get bots in the chat.
MONTY, the Monty Show.
When we start talking about frickin' drinking milk from the tap.
This is what happens.
Nipples equals bots.
Nipples.
Nipples are good. There's nothing wrong with it.
How do you get milk?
Yeah. Brandon Price says Frankenberry. I love it. All right, we have to go. Hey, don't forget that we are giving you a trip for two to see BYU and Notre Dame in the Shamrock Series. If you're not in Utah, hit up bbqpitstop.com. Check them out in Utah, 5 locations, Layton, Lehigh, Logan, Salt Lake City, and St. George. All the best barbecue, all the best equipment to smoke. Every smoker you can think of. I'm a Traeger Ironwood guy, but they have grills, big green eggs. I mean, Yoder smokers. They have it all at Barbecue Pit Stop, Logan, Lehigh, Layton, Salt Lake City, and St. George. Check them out online, bbqpitstop.com. Please tell them you heard it on the Monty Show. And it's all presented by our good friend Deborah Davis at Academy Mortgage, 801-543-9666, 801-543-9666, NMLS number 278545. Until Monday, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.